What's happening, y'all? I thought I'd jump on for a live Real Pig Talks of PSC this Friday in a little bit of short notice. Hope you're all doing well. What's up? So yeah, I thought I'd do a live tonight. It's Friday. Hope you guys are having a good Friday so far. Yeah, I thought I would do a live tonight. And we have my good friend come on. What's up, Correa, Johnny Correa from Correa Finishes. So I thought I would do a little interview with him tonight. And yeah, so I've been trying to get back into the loop, doing this more often, because I've been so out of the fucking loop lately. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I can probably work one in here sometime. And yeah, asked Johnny if he wanted to rock it. So let's invite him on in and do it up. I gotta find him here. So, Cruz, what's going on? Let me know if you guys can hear me or not. Get Johnny in here.
What up?
What's up, Johnny?
Not much, man.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, sounds good. What's going on?
Man, first of all, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Definitely, dude. I know it's been a minute or two for sure that I've been saying I wanted to do this, but I'm so freaking busy, man. I'm trying to really get my butt in here more and record more podcasts and do more things, but it's been a little bit of a challenge. So
Yeah. Life gets in the way, work gets in the way, and all that. So
yeah, it gets in the way. Yeah, it's a little bit time consuming, but we can make it happen. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just trying to prep for this weekend. Have the weekend off. So
Nice.
gotta do some running around, doctor stuff, and all that.
Yeah, I
Gotta
hear you.
gotta stay healthy.
Oh, that's cool though, man. That's cool. Well, for everyone that's tuning in, this is Johnny Correa.
Don't butcher it. Correa.
Correa.
The two R's. The two R's messing it up. Yeah, it's Johnny Correa.
Well, why don't you tell people where you're from, how long you kind of been doing this, maybe how you got in, little backside, and let us know about yourself, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So my name is Johnny Correa. I'm from Chicago.
Nice.
I've been in the paint business for, man, since I was like 17. I'm 35.
Okay.
Not on my own. On my own, it's like 7 to 8 years, but I've been in the paint store and having my business for that long. So I've been around. I have I have background of like coatings through the stores and then now application since I'm actually applying it. But yeah, we've been doing it. We specialize in fine finishing. We do all custom homes, high-end homes. So if you look at the profile, you see we do all high-end shit, man. That's it.
Nice. So, when you were in high school or a younger kid, like, were you ever working with family or anything like that, or you
So
start in
no,
high school?
yeah. So my brother was a painter in Memphis. He moved out there. He was doing roofing for a little bit, and then he started painting, and that's kind of how I got into the paint world. He came back to Chicago. It didn't work out over there, and then he started managing one of the Benjamin Moore dealers. So then I kind of got in there. I was still in high school, but I needed to make some money. So
Yeah.
I was going on like my any day I was getting out of school early, I was going straight there. Weekends, I think there was 2 late nights that you can work till like 8 o'clock. I was working those late nights. Any overtime, man. At that time, at that age, making OT, it was nice.
About how old were you?
I think I started. I think it was like going on 17.
Oh yeah, nice. So you worked in the
Yeah, it was
paint
like
stores though, hey?
yeah, it was at the paint store. I mean, I've always been in the construction
Yeah.
world since I was younger, but like with like let's say like family members that do
Mm-hmm.
rentals and all that stuff, just kind of cleaning up, picking up the garbage at the end of the day, things like that. But yeah, kind of had to force myself to get this job because at the time I had my daughter real early. Like
Oh
my
yeah.
daughter, she actually made it to like my high school graduation. She
Oh
was
shit,
small.
that's
So
early.
I had a kid when I was young, so I had no choice.
Yeah,
I had no
I know
choice. I
what
needed
that's
that
like.
work. I needed that money. I couldn't rely on mom and dad. So, you know,
Yeah, no, I
you
feel you. I f-
you make it work, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's great. And how old are you now?
35.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what
35,
that's like.
man.
I know what that's all like, bro, for sure. Well, good for you, man. Definitely good for
Yeah.
you.
Oh man, it's been a journey, but that was our first kid. It taught me a lot of lessons,
Yeah.
and you know, it kind of grew up fast. But now I got another three, so I total of four, and I'm done,
Oh
man.
man, you got 4 kids. Wow, good for
I'm
you,
done.
man. Oh, that's
I
good.
had we had
Congrats.
two back to back, and through the whole like pandemic thing, like we had two kids back to back. So
Oh shit.
we thought we had this figured out, and nah, man. This time around, because it was like about it was a big span, you know. My son, I think at the time was 11 or whatever, you know. So
Yeah.
it has been that long since we haven't had little ones, and I'm just like, man, what was I thinking, man?
Oh,
But
crazy. So how
we're
old are
making
your
it
other
work.
kids?
So I have my daughter 17, my son 13, and then I have a 3-year old and a soon to be 2-year old.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you have like 4 toddlers. Like that would be kind of
No,
crazy. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah,
that'll
yeah,
be insane.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I am Mexican, but I'm not
yeah,
that Mexican.
yeah. That's crazy. Well, good for you though, man. Good for you. So when you were younger in high school and stuff, that's kind of how you got into painting was through the paint stores, working at a paint store. Hey, like a Benjamin Ward dealership. So we're like mixing paint up and just doing stuff like
Yeah.
that. Sales too, or what?
So at first, they kind of just like put me in the back. I was just kind of like stocking stuff,
Yeah,
and then they started making me tint. And at the time, there was none of these like automated machines. Not everything was all manual tinting. So I started doing that, and then man, it was a busy store. So on a Saturday, it got real busy, and we needed to do some matches. So I just started like testing it out,
yeah,
trying to match colors and all that. And then I actually liked it. So like I did that part, like tinting paint for a while. And then I kind of as I started like getting into like more of the management role, then I just kind of like stepped away and I was more managing the store and sales and things like that. But I don't know. And then I got a taste of what it is to kind of do your own thing. And
So what was that? What was that taste? What happened? How'd you get a taste?
well,
Did someone come in
so
and said that?
I started, yeah, some side work.
Yeah,
I started doing some side work
through the paint store though.
like through contractors.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so there was a couple contractors there would always be somebody. They're looking for a young guy. They'd be like, hey,
right.
any days off you want, you know, I'll build that relationship with people.
Hmm.
Any days off you have, whatever, if you want to work or if they don't give you hours here, let me know. So I kind of just developed that relationship and started doing side gigs.
Yeah.
When I really got into it was like it was about maybe 2010 when I first kind of like went on with like spray work. At the time, I think at the time there was really not. I think like the cabinet stuff first started like started taking off. So I actually helped out one of my that now he's a good friend, Jamie. He had a problem with some cabinets. He did a lot of faux and all that stuff, and he hired somebody to do. At the time, it was sand and purple, and they were spraying sand and purple, and this guy sprayed it with like I don't know, man. It must have been like with like a 517 tip or something crazy
Oh
on the
Jesus.
doors, and it was just like caked on. It was bad. So I got there, and he was like, "Hey, help me out." You know, we started looking at it, and I was like, "Man, go and get some mineral spirits or something. Let's wipe these things down because they're not gonna dry." It was on so heavy,
Oh my God.
and that's how it started. That's how it started. I fixed those cabinets. At the time, I think we used like I think we might have just gone with sand and purple, and I didn't own a sprayer or nothing. I rented it from the paint store that I
Oh
worked
shit.
at, and then I we just sprayed it. At the time, I think it was like might have just been like a 395 or something like that, one of the smaller sprayers, and we cranked it out. I built a relationship with that guy, and yeah, that's how it all started. And then next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, if you want to do this, let's do it." So like on my lunch breaks from work, boom, I was running to his place. He had a home shop. I was running to his home shop, which was like about 10 minutes away from the paint store, spraying a coat, going to work. When I would clock out at the end of the day, go back over there, spray another coat,
Nice,
depending on what
nice.
we're using. So, man, I did that for a while. I did that for a while, like work the 8 hours at the store, and then still went to go and put in another 5 to 6 hours,
Yeah.
like on side work. So,
Fucking
but
A.
hey, we gotta hustle, you know.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So,
That's
and
why
then,
that's why now I don't feel so bad like now taking a light day or a weekend or something like that. Because man, there was a lot of weekends. I I
fucking
don't know
A,
if the
man.
wifey's in here, man, but she can testify to that I missed out a lot in the beginning, but
Yeah.
I'm here now.
You do, though, man. And, there should be no regrets for that. But it's hard because, if you don't mind me asking, did your wife work? Or she stay
Yeah,
at home?
no, 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 yeah, we both were cranking it out, you know.
Yeah. So then you're not seeing each other as much. It becomes this big, that becomes a responsibility all in itself, man. It's not easy what people do.
Yeah,
It's not easy running a family and stuff like that and being parents.
yeah.
And then, so then, so then, how long was it before you kind of started your own business?
It was 8 years ago, so it was so I've been in the paint game for about, yeah, what did I say, like 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing my own thing for about 7 to 8 years.
Nice. So what kind of jobs are you getting now, and what kind of stuff are you mostly doing these days? Like, where is your heart landed, or where you want to be in terms of the type of projects you're doing now?
Yeah, so like right now we were up until like last year we were just strictly like not on-site refinishing, but like just nothing but kitchen cabinet refinishing.
Yeah.
A little bit of front doors, things like that, but here in Chicago it's kind of hard to like gauge the weather and how it's going to be, so we kind of any exterior work we weren't doing anymore. Um I think like a couple weeks ago I ended up getting a couple weeks ago I ended up completing my first year at my shop, my own shop. So I finally have my own thing, and it's like 10 minutes away from the hub of like where all my work is.
Nice.
So it's nice. So now we're trying to transition more into like a full finishing shop, meaning like we're connecting with cabinet makers, they're dropping off stuff,
Yeah.
connecting with a lot of people on Instagram, dropping off all the, like slab tables and just things like that. So we're focusing on high-end finishes, spray finishes, and anything else that we can take on. As far as where it's gonna go, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
People always ask me, they're like, "Hey, like, how did you do it?" I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out.
You just make it happen, man. You make shit
Yeah,
happen. That's how it
like
fucking
this
works.
year, like I thought I had everything figured out up until this past winter. Then I finally like it was a different winter because now I had a shot to myself. So I had like the lease was on me and everything.
Yeah.
So when the work kind of dipped a little bit, I took a big hit.
Yeah. How's that
And then I
feeling?
had, man, it's like at first you're just like, you feel like you're going backwards,
Yeah.
but you have no choice because, hey, guess what? You signed the lease, you got to keep it going.
Yeah.
So that's when you just start using all your resources and everything. And I don't think it's gonna happen this year coming up. I don't think I'm gonna make sure that we ain't like struggling. We
Yeah.
had work, we were working, we were doing things, but it was a different winter this year
Yeah. Yeah.
with the shop.
How many people are there in your crew?
It's just me and my father-in-law.
Oh yeah. Shit. There you go.
Yeah, just me and my father-in-law. If I have any like big projects, then my brother jumps on with his. He's got one full-time guy, so they'll jump on. So it'll make us a crew of
Yeah.
four.
Yeah. Nice.
But man, me and my father-in-law, man, we knock out some big projects. Just us two. We're very efficient. We got a system
Yeah.
and all
That's
that.
good.
The
Yeah.
problem is that we have a system between us, like a system. And I don't think we have a system yet to implement to give to other people to come on board yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a personal thing that I have to work on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to throw one more person in the mix. It's weird because sometimes it works better when it's like threes and fives. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm kind of like you in the sense where I feel like if I'm there, I can do what maybe one or two people can do. Like
yeah,
I might be worth two people as opposed
yeah,
to someone who's learning. But it's really a toss up. So maybe let's chat about that quickly.
yeah.
Do you regularly look for people? Are you looking to expand? Or are you guys just more trying to look to keep making money and keep the margin and profits there for now until you can kind of, I don't know, build some bankroll, reinvest in the company? Like, what's your
Yeah,
plan? What do you
yeah. I mean,
do?
reinvesting in the company is always going to happen. Over like the past like couple years, I think I shifted and I've kind of like even niched down more on my business, like kind of like what type of work I want to do. We were doing a lot of finishing stuff and a lot of different projects that we shouldn't be doing with our process. Um, we're very detail oriented, so like certain projects just don't make sense for us logistically and for the budgets to be working on. So we definitely want to grow. We I don't think I always look at it this way. I'm eventually going to get older. Let's say my father-in-law, he's only going to have so many years to help me out. So I want to get somebody else to at least jump on board. If I can get, if we can be a crew of four, I think I'll be real happy
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, that's what we are.
I don't
You'd
know
be
that I
good
would
with
want
that.
to go any higher.
Well, are you guys doing? Like full painting too? Like, do you guys do like walls and ceilings and exteriors or anything like that? No,
Nothing.
just spray work. Eh?
Just spray work, just finishing work. That's all we do. And the only time we ever touch any ceilings or walls is like if we're doing some high gloss stuff. That's about it.
Really?
I
Eh?
mean, I that's the only time I touch any walls.
Right.
If the client really wants us to do it, then I have my brother jump on board because he's a full-time painter. He was a
Right.
union painter and all that.
Gotcha.
So then I'll have him. I'll say, hey, how much do you want for this right here? And then because we're already there
Yep.
working, so we're gonna get the job.
Yeah. And then you get her done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
make the customer
outsourcing like
happy.
that too a little bit. It helps a lot.
Yeah, I see that your brother, right? Because your brother is the one
Yeah,
that
so me and my brother learned this trade together. That's kind of so
Mhm.
like long story short with me was a friend of mine's dad owned an auto body shop and the one main painter there, the auto body painter, his brother was a house painter. So it's two brothers. One guy was auto body painter, one guy was a
Gotcha.
house painter. So my buddy's dad owned this auto body shop and this one painter was putting word around it. You know, his brother needed help painting these homes. So that's how I kind of got in. But I kind of grew up in like not like not like an extremely poor area, but not like in the ritzier part of town in like the northeast quadrant. But either way, I didn't even know these houses fucking existed. So it's like the first
Yeah,
day I go out there, I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And that's kind of how I got into it, just
yeah,
through friends of friends. Yeah, and then so essentially, I started out, and then my brother came along, and then another friend, and then another friend, and then we all learned together. Yeah. So I
yeah.
got my brother, my one guy Matt. I've known Matt. Me and Matt have been friends for like over 20 years, and then Miguel, who's the other guy who kind of was like same as you. Him and my brother had a crew together, and then they couldn't stay busy, and so they come together with me sometimes. Yeah, it's disposable work
Yeah, yeah.
or workers. You know what I mean? So the good thing
Right.
about it too is that like when we're slow, these guys they can stay busy. That's what I like about it. So that's
Yeah.
pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice when you can build a network like that. Like we have man, we have a handful of like painters and finishers that pass each other work.
Yeah.
That we build that connection. Sometimes we even bid the same jobs and we just all help each other out. Like I have Emil from Chicago Paint Group, John from Deluxe that's on here. Um man, past tense, like there's so many people that we build that instead of us saying that's the competition, like we have the same clientele, so we know we can help each other out.
All right.
So my guy from Chicago Paint Group, most of the time now when he gets something like a kitchen refinish or something for finishing, he just passes it straight to me and I take care of it. Unless it's something like something that he thinks he can knock out, or if it gets kind of slow or something like that, then obviously they're gonna take care of the guys first. But I know I can always rely on those guys to like pass me work if it ever gets slow.
Yeah. Yeah. So do
But
you sub work out a lot too?
I haven't done really any sub work like that. I mean, like I was telling you with my brother, I'll just tell him, hey,
Yeah.
just take care of it and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking because I'm getting a lot of requests while I'm on site, like, hey, you guys also do painting? Do you? I think I might end up taking on some jobs
Right.
and then just even if I sub them out to my brother or somebody else, it'll actually be a sub out work like that, you know. But
Right. Yeah.
for right now, I'm trying to focus on making sure we have our type of work, you know,
Yep.
that we want to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We kind of we don't pick and choose our projects. I don't want to make it seem like that, but we kind of do because I kind of went kind of throwing away everything else that I don't want to do,
Yeah.
and we're focusing on what we can do. We charge a good rate and we deliver. You know.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do. But, sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. So, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've done crap ass work and had to take
Okay.
shitty jobs. And I'm sure it's been hard at times for sure. And I think anybody who's been in this has probably had to go through that a little bit for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
You still have to do it. There's gonna be times where you have to take it on, and I feel like I think that's why sometimes I'm kind of like intimidated with the growth and like growing too big because then you have no choice. I think if you grow big enough, where you have more people and they got to stay busy, you have to take on some of that work and you have to put the right crew to take care of that work. Where I feel like right now with us, we can kind of pick and choose
Yeah.
and make them happy. We
Yeah. I mean, at one point I had to think about 9 or 10 guys, and we were doing a few mansions at once. And when I did all the math and stepped back, I don't think I made any more money. I think it was just more of a headache. I think I made cleaner money when it was a little bit smaller, more efficient, like hitting things harder in
yeah
in in smaller areas as opposed to like moving millimeters in a million different directions. Sometimes that drives me fucking crazy. So
yeah
we're at a 4 guy crew and that works pretty well. I mean, I could probably have more. I mean, my one buddy, Billy, he's been doing some stuff for me now lately because when I do have 2 or 3 on the go, it can be really hard to freaking manage with 4 people, like really
yeah
tough. So that's been working pretty good, but it's hard because that's your name on the line too. So when you're subcontracting, it's super scary. Yeah.
yeah yeah. I mean, I give it to I'm grateful that like I have some guys that when they sub it out to me, like sub me work, that they trust us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that they're on us. Like most of the guys that pass us work, they're kind of they know we're gonna show up. If we say they were gonna be there Monday, we show up Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be some kind of big emergency or something happens
Absolutely.
um for us not to be there. But
Yeah.
we're always there and we crank it out, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot that comes there that can be said about integrity and just, doing what you say. It's like a super big thing that I've always tried really hard to. It's always been kind of the number one thing with my business, at least. It's just do what you say, be a man of your word, and you never really seem to have any issues. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's the way to do it because
it is.
you're only gonna be able to do that for let's say you're just BSing people. You're only gonna be able to do that for so long, or at least if you're trying to build like ongoing relationships, it ain't gonna happen.
No, no.
And I mean, people. I don't know. I don't know if my clients can see through that, but I know that me coming from the neighborhoods that I came, they can pick you up real quick if you're on BS.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's like you kind of grow up with that stuff where you're like, hey, everybody can pick up on the BS. So why even fake it? If you can't do it, you can't do it. And if that's not you, that's not you. I mean,
No.
you gotta learn how to say no.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah, absolutely. You got to know where you stand. Definitely. Yeah. So, what's a day look like for you? What's a day look like?
Oh man,
Yeah.
right now with the kids, it changed. So before we had the last 2 kids, I was up early. Boom, let's go. Everybody going to school. My kids at the time they were both going to the same school, so we would do one drop off. Boom, that's it. Now I'm starting work a little later because I have to drop off at least one kid.
All
Both of
right.
my kids start school at the same time, my older ones, and so my day starts off by dropping off my son at school, and then I rush to the shop and I do whatever I can.
Yep.
And then if I need to go on site, my father-in-law's already on site or at the shop wherever he's starting. He's an early bird, so he'll be there like at 6:30, 6 in the morning or 7, and he'll start doing that stuff. But so I'll either go to the shop or on site. Usually I'm the one bouncing back and forth. Um, I don't take lunches, so I just work through. I would rather leave earlier than take a lunch for me, just because
Yeah.
I feel like I can get really into like whatever I'm doing, I get really into it, and I feel like if I have a break, I kind of lose that flow.
Yeah.
So most of the time when I'm there, like even if it can be something as simple as like we're parking at a job site and I'm having a spray session, and next thing you know they tell me, hey, can you move your car from the driveway? I'm just like, it
Yeah.
just messes me all up, you
Yeah. You
know?
just ruined all the flow. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so
No.
we just do that. You know, even if we start at the job site, my day usually ends at the shop. I usually try to go to the shop, just check in, just
Yeah.
check in at the shop, just make sure everything's all good. If we have any projects going on, I'm going to spray a coat and then do it all over the following day.
Yeah.
Depending on the season, we got stuff going on with the family, you know.
Yeah.
Baseball season starting, so my son plays baseball, so most of my nights and weekends are taken up with that.
Yeah.
But and just I just try to be really if I'm at work, I try to be at work
Yeah. It being
and
efficient
try to
with the
make sure that
time.
I'm
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm there for 6 hours, the client is getting those 6 hours or more,
Yeah.
even though it's 6 hours, because I'm fully committed to that time there.
That's funny, man. That must be a family man thing because I'm totally the same. I can't. I just feel really guilty if I'm going to be there to just kind of waste the time. Especially like, do you have to commute far to your jobs?
What was that?
Do you have to commute pretty far to your jobs?
Yeah. So
Like,
most
what's
of
a
my
drive
so
like?
yeah. So my shop from my place or from the city is about 30 minutes. But once I'm at my shop, all my jobs are about 10
Okay,
to
that's what I
15
mean.
minutes.
Yeah,
So I kind of like that's why I ended up getting my shop there because I figured once I get to my shop, I don't care how long it's gonna take me to get home.
yeah,
It's just more of like how fast can I get to the jobs and back.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's about half hour, 45 minutes.
so for us to get to the site, sometimes it's 45 minutes to an hour. So you're driving all the way out to these places, and like, if you know, you got to be prepared. Make sure you have food, some water, and stuff like that. Crank it good, and then because it's like if you leave too late, then you're driving an hour and you're home even later. So you got to kind of like time it. So you want to be super efficient with the hours that you're putting in because you're out there. So you know what I
Yeah,
mean? You know what that's
that
probably like, and just like
that
fuck, like
that's
make it
that's
worth
the
it.
case. That's the case for my father-in-law. He drives out a little from further south, so his drive is actually about it's either like 50 minutes or an hour
Yeah.
to the job site. So he rather leave early, and it'll cut it to like 30 minutes
Yep.
in the morning. So
Yep.
he'd rather leave early and do that. And then same thing. If like today we had a somewhat earlier day, he was able to get through that traffic and go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Is it pretty bad for traffic in Chicago?
yeah, I mean there's always traffic. We used to have like rush hour and all that. Now it just seems like rush hours all the time.
Oh fuck.
And then now they're like some of the major highways, they're doing major construction that's gonna be like, I don't know, maybe a couple of years.
Jeez.
So you going into the city, it's bad. So luckily I don't do too many jobs in like downtown Chicago anymore. And it just happened to be perfect timing because they started this construction and now it would take forever. Like if I needed to go to my shop and then downtown, it would take forever to go down there.
Oh my god.
So I don't. I try to stay away. I'm trying to stay away from high rise buildings unless it's like a client that we've done work for and I have a relationship with them and they want me to go and do it, then I'll go and do it. But
That's so. But you mean like residential living, high rise stuff, right?
residential living,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
residential living, like because
Penthouses and stuff.
there's a lot of high end stuff out there too. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't. Just their work hours, so you can't get in there at this time.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you know how it is. Like there's elevators
I've
and
done
things
it a
like that.
few times, and I just same thing. It's usually ritzier places where they're like, "Oh, we don't want to see any trades in the lobby," so it's like use the back door, use this elevator, don't be seen. Only work from this time to that time. Your stereo can't be loud. I'm like, holy fuck.
Then parking and all that
Oh, the
stuff. So,
parking's the worst. That's the worst part of it for me. I hate it. It gives me anxiety. And our downtown, oh well, I mean, I haven't been in a lot of downtowns, but it's not that big, I would say, compared to maybe say like New York or maybe Chicago or something. But
yeah.
it's still pretty busy, and I fucking hate it. I just hate it.
Yeah, I don't we just did a small kitchen for it was like a referral. And man, this client had everything like she had everything lined up. Like she talked to the doorman, like the doorman knew we were coming. So as soon as we went there and checked in, like he's like, "Oh yeah, she has a parking spot in the back for you guys." There's
Oh,
only like about
nice.
six parking spots, so we had like a parking spot. Everything, everything went smooth. Like
That's
it was
sweet.
like I couldn't even believe it. I was like, there has to be something's gonna happen. It
Yeah.
was like just too good to be true. But no, we went in, got out. It was perfect, man.
Yeah.
That's like one of the only times that has ever happened.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's also some pretty lavish living if you think about the concierge at the front desk does like so much for you. Like we painted this one place where his elevator opened right into his unit, like right
Yeah.
into his suite. So I was like, oh damn. And it's like 24-hour service and cleaning people and this and that. I was like, oh shit, pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, there's some nice places, but I don't know, man. I I'd rather. I mean, I'm already from the city, so it's like I'd rather stay away from it. Like
yeah,
I like to go to the areas that I'm working at, and it's almost like during the day I'm living a different life. It's like calm, everything's good,
yeah.
and then I'll deal with the madness on the way home and when I'm on the weekends.
No,
I don't
for
want to
sure.
deal with it while I'm working.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's pretty hectic. Is it pretty? Is it pretty expensive in your area?
In my where I live.
Well, in terms of is it expensive for you to have a shop closer to downtown?
Well, I have a shop closer to the north, what's called the North Shore, which is like where all the high-end like residential
Okay.
homes are at. It is, it would be cheaper for me to have a shop in Chicago in the city, closer to home. It would be cheaper. Like I can probably find the same shop that I'm paying right now. I could probably find it for about 500 or $600
Oh shit.
for 1,200 square feet. Um, the shop where I'm at right now, paying 1,300.
And it's fairly big, pretty good.
Same thing, 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
So it's like almost double the price. But I look at everything like I'm there. Like I get there and I'm in the area. Like I can, if I have a shop in the city, one, clients are never going to drop off anything or pick up anything.
Right.
So I'm going to have to drive out there regardless, even if I'm in the shop. So I look at it this way. I'm like, I'm already in the area where my market is at. If I need to leave my shop to go see a customer, I'm there within like 10 minutes.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like perfect. It
Yes.
kind of pays off in that way.
Absolutely, man. Well, you see more value in it.
Yeah. So it's like about a dollar, they're like about a dollar a square foot.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
For
Yeah.
straight commercial, like straight commercial use, like no storefront, no,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
just straight industrial.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, here it's fucking expensive, man. I could never have a shop in the city. By the time you go through regulations and everything and what it costs to rent these places, they're so expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about like I was looking at like Chicago's like the worst. Like they try to get you for everything.
Yeah.
Like they'll find you for anything. So it's like they don't care, but when they find out, they're gonna get you for anything. Like if you're on a corner lot like us and your fence is over 6 feet, most of the time you can get away with it if it's a little higher. But
Yep.
all it takes is for one person to call, and then that's it. Then they're gonna be on you all the time. But I've heard about people turning like since I have a double lot, I've heard about people turning like one lot into like they build like a shop space,
Yeah.
and you have it at your home. And I was looking at everything like all the paperwork that needed to be done. I'm like, forget that.
Yeah.
I
It's a
was like,
lot
it's
of
not
work.
worth it. And also, I'm not I try to set up my garage as like a shop or just to have it to keep my tools.
Yeah.
And I find that I'm not very good working from home. I get easily distracted. So like let's say the kids are home, it's summer and they want to go and get something to eat, like, yeah, let's go. And then I regret it because I'm like, damn, I should have just stayed working.
Yeah.
So I find that if I take myself away from home and I work, I'm very good. I can get a lot done in a little bit of time.
Yeah. I wish I could have a fucking out the back door into another door and you're at your work. That'd be fucking
I
sweet.
I know. I see all these people like they have like a home shop and all that. I'm like, man, that would be nice to
Yeah.
just walk out, but I don't think I can do it, man. I tried it,
Yeah. I wouldn't
and
be
I
able to.
just I just can't.
if I had like a piece of land or something like that, like even
Yeah.
Mickey was saying, could you build a shop on your a piece of your own land? Like, you, definitely that would be like that'd be the best way to do it. Because even like if you had something here in town, like a garage or like a piece of property in the city, you need a lot of regulations on your filtration system, especially if you're spraying any solvent, because people would just smell it. They would just
Yeah.
be smelling it all day. So where I'm at, it's kind of private property like that, but it's not like it's not legit booth style by any means. But we rock it for sure in there.
Yeah, for sure. You make it work. And
Yeah, it's
I mean,
cheap.
I remember spraying in my garage. Like I had like a piece that I needed to finish, and I sprayed some like 2K polyurethane solvent, and I sprayed that, and man, it was like I left and I came back, and I could smell it from like down the block. Like you can just smell it. Like it's
Oh
almost
yeah,
like it penetrated into like the soil,
and your
and
fucking
it wasn't like a
neighbors.
very offensive smell per se, but it was like you can smell that.
Yeah,
Hey, they were spraying something. That or conversion varnish. I've sprayed, and it was like, all right, someone's gonna call.
yeah, yeah. It's usually the neighbors at rat show because they're smelling it or something. They're like, my dog's inhaling it, and you're like, well, fuck. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, private property would be nice. But what do you guys? So, what do you guys mostly shooting these days? What do you guys mostly using on your like kitchen, like say refinished packages and stuff?
We're trying to be a we're trying to just convert to just a straight waterborne shop.
Yeah,
Um, that's it. We can't fully stay away from it. Whenever I have problems, like I had this one problem kitchen that was just giving me a lot of issues, tight deadline and budgets. Picked up a gallon of vinyl sealer and let's call it a day
yeah,
to prime it. Just because I was having so many issues. But yeah, full waterborne shop for the most part.
that's cool.
Some stains we're still doing lacquer stains
Sure.
or oil based stains, but very little. Um, I, I'm not saying like we're like an eco-friendly shop by any means. It's still, I mean, you're shooting a 2K, it's just as bad. Any catalyzed products, just as bad.
Yeah, I heard some people getting pretty mad because apparently it's just as bad as solvents,
Yeah,
if not worse. Apparently, I don't know much about it, but
yeah. You have to stay safe. I look at it this way. I mean, you could be spraying, I don't know, whatever, just regular trim paint. I mean, you spray enough of it and not protect yourself, isn't it? You're gonna have some issues
yeah,
eventually. So wear your respirator or whatever you
yeah,
can. I don't know that I'm going like full. I know there's some guys that are like, hey, you know, that stuff's horrible, and you know, you got a full body suit and all that. I'm like, where I don't know.
yeah.
I'm
With
not.
the
I'm not.
fresh air and the whole mask and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I've seen it too, but yeah, I
Nah.
mean, it's each to its own, I guess. I just didn't. I honestly thought it was supposed to be healthier. I thought it was supposed well, not healthier. I thought it was supposed to be better for the environment, better for off gassing, better for humans, better for everything.
I
You
think
know?
as soon as that catalyst goes in there, it's over. You're back to the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah. I think if you spray it as a 1K, I think you're a little bit better. But
But the
I
one
mean,
K is not as good as the 2K.
well, I like 1K. I think for like new work, like new cabinetry and all that stuff. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
1Ks are fine. I mean, I use them, or I use them as 1Ks, like Renner
Right.
or like any of those. Um, but as far as 2Ks, like when I'm doing a full refinishing, I go 2K just to make sure.
Yeah. What's your kind of
Just to
go
make
to? What do you like to use?
And I kind of jump all over. It
Yeah.
depends on the supplier. Depends on if they're getting me pissed off at the time.
Yeah.
Then I just jump to somebody else. But yeah, for like the 2Ks, let's say for cabinet refinishing, we're using Runner and Virelac,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much it for right now. We were using some of the other like Ilva and things like that, but
Right.
um, for the price, they've just been kind of messing with the prices. That there's other products that are better
Right.
that you can get better quality with other
For
products.
sure.
So I just
So
kind of go with them.
so for most of your jobs, how are they coming through the door? Are you going out and you're doing sales and marketing on your own, or is it mostly referral? And then if so, how are you basing which product to use? Is it coming more down to because it's a contractor or a certain color, or is it price? Is it like how do you like? Because I'm like you, we use an array of things. We're not
Yeah,
like diehards in for one specific thing.
yeah,
Well, sort of, but not really. Like we like to like kind of use different products Well, we don't
Yeah.
like to. We use an array of different products. But
Right.
so what helps you decide? Like
So
what's
most of our
most of
jobs
your
are
yeah, go
most
ahead.
of our jobs are like they're referral based, like word of mouth.
Yeah.
So most
Contractors or like public demographic?
yeah, just homeowners and
Yeah.
contractors.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I build a really good relationship with the paint store, the company that I was working for, and a lot of people knew that this is what I specialized in, and this is what I did. So um, for years when I left, that's where a lot of my work was coming from the old gig.
Right.
They were just passing on. As far as how I gauge what product to use, it's all project based. I have to look at to see what's going on. Cabinets for sure. At this point, it's either Renner or Envirolac for
Right.
cabinets. Um, Even when it's a stain grade, I'm still doing some type of waterborne stain,
Right.
or even if I or a lacquer stain. I'm not a big fan of. I don't know. I don't use too many oil based stains. I feel sometimes they react a little weird with the water based top coats. Um, but yeah, like let's say if I have a project that's going to require a lot of caulking, um, a lot of caulking, and it's a dark color, I have to approach it a little different. So I'll jump to like something like Scuffx
Right.
because I know that that will have a little bit more flexibility than a 2K. So I just kind of base it off of that. What's going on? What that like? What timeline? Like, there's certain products that I know that I like. If I need to like wrap them, shrink wrap them, and do things like
Yeah.
certain products you can't do that with, like advanced, or you got to use something that dries a lot
Yep.
quicker. Um, yeah, so we just kind of go for that. I really don't give the client an option. Like, um, I don't feel like the clients are educated enough to be making those decisions as far as, hey, we want this applied on there. Even when it's a high gloss product and they say, hey, we want FP. Well,
Right.
do you really want FP or do you want their color or why do you want that?
Yeah.
There's other ways to approach it, like for like even for gloss work. So
Yep. For sure.
we make that decision, and we stick to certain products, and we don't. I don't feel that I don't feel that the customer should be picking up the product or buying the product because it's not really saving them anything, and there's just that higher chance of them messing something up, or changing something based on a number, a price tag while they're at the store trying to
Yeah.
buy something. And yeah, we just certain products we won't work with, and that's just how it is, man. We're
So
When it comes to products, we're picky.
so if a client says they have the paint, are you straight up just like no, we don't do it?
No, actually, you know what? I'm not if the client says they have the paint, I will tell them that I will not guarantee our process or certain things with their coatings.
Yep.
Like there's certain things like they say, hey, can you paint the cabinets with some bear paint that I just picked up from Home Depot? Can I do it? Yes. Do I recommend it? I don't know. No, yes. I mean, I don't know. I don't have experience with it.
Yeah.
So I tell them, I said, I don't have experience with this product, and I would be having to do a lot more research and trial and error on your project trying to figure this out. So I think it's best if you just let us use what we know how to
Yeah.
use and what we know will work,
That's right.
and that's it. But as far as like it yeah, it's very rare that they'll have the material like my clientele. They usually trust us, and they know that the clients that I have are they're gonna trust us that we're gonna apply the right coating and give it a nice finish
Right. Right.
and with the right process. So, um, yeah, I mean it happens. I've gotten a couple of them where, well, we'll buy the paint, or because we have a family member that works somewhere. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
I never
sorry,
got that.
unfortunately, our coating does not. They don't. Benjamin Moore dealer doesn't sell it,
Yeah.
so can't buy it.
I always thought that it was a good selling feature to tell people, well, you can pay what I pay for it. You can get my discount. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say, like, you're never really paying for the paint, or you're never really paying for it. The client's paying for it. Sort of. So
Yeah, and yeah, and I'm sure you see it. I mean, most of your time is being spent in what? In all the prep, right? All the prep, your
most of it.
process, and all that stuff. So it's like, really, if the price, if you want to impact that number, that total number, it's not going to be with the material, the paint material. Or at least
No,
for me, it's not because let's
it's
say I'm
not.
doing a kitchen refinishing, I'm getting 1 gallon if I'm shooting it to the HVOP, maybe a couple gallons if I'm shooting it with the airless. You're not gonna save anything by doing that. You're gonna save maybe $20, $30, but it's not really gonna save you. Where you can save is on the prep, which is not gonna we're not gonna sacrifice that. Like that's not an option.
Yeah,
The price can change if the scope of work changes.
that's right.
That means if I'm bidding out your whole place and you think you can't afford the project, then I'm not saying, oh, well, we're no good for you. No, let's see. Maybe instead of doing everything in the rooms, now we just do everything that's out in the open
Yeah,
that you can kind of show off and things like that.
that's right.
So we just change the scope of work and that's it. But the process will not change. Like we have to degrease, we have to sand, we have to mask, we have to. If your countertops are being changed, like I get this. This is a big one that I get. Oh, don't worry about the countertops because they're gonna get swapped out. We're like, well, you either get rid of them now, or
Yeah,
we're still gonna cover them. Like, there's no way that I just can't. Like, my mind just won't allow me to just say, oh yeah, they're gonna swap out the countertops. So just go ahead and spray. I will never do that.
it's like what? Like I can't really just spray on them either.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And that just doesn't even look good. Like, or when they say, "Oh, we're gonna redo the
nah,
floors," yeah, just go ahead and spray. Nah,
yeah,
nah,
no
we're not
thanks.
doing that.
Yeah,
We're not doing that.
we've turned into that company too. We say no a lot more, but mind you, the amount of times we've had to say no has gone down substantially since we've been really concentrating on more of the new home construction stuff. So, but in the repaint days, yeah, used to do that a lot and tell a lot of people like the shit's not clean, the shit's not ready. It's just, sometimes you have to sort of be a professional dick a little bit, there's got to be a thin line there and there's got to be boundaries. And
Yeah.
if not, it can make it really hard for you to make that clean money, like I usually say, right? So,
Yeah. And I think which I think a lot of people do, or a lot of people that I know, they usually when you talk to them and they had an issue with a client or something with budget or something, if you really backtrack it, it all started from the beginning. Like it started from that phone call.
oh,
Like
probably.
if you didn't ask those right questions and
Yeah,
you didn't ask the questions that you were supposed to, or you didn't educate the client enough to know what they're expecting, um, I feel like that's when you can oversee a lot of things, a lot of those I don't want to say like red flags, but a lot of things that you could have caught way before.
yeah,
So I try to like at that initial call, I ask a lot of questions like, okay, what are you looking for? What's this? What's the reason you're doing it? Because all that is important. Like let's say
it
someone's
is.
calling me, hey, let's refinish this kitchen. You were highly recommended. Want to refinish this kitchen? The first thing I ask them is, what's the reason why you're refinishing? Because are you selling? And my
Right.
next question is, if you're selling, is there a timeline you're trying to work
Yeah,
with? Because you know how it is. As soon as that summer hits, everybody wants to do their
that's right.
kitchen, or everybody wants to do something. And realistically, if they're like, well, we're looking to close next week, and we want to get it done in a week, then I'm gonna say, you know what? Sorry,
Yep,
unfortunately, we don't think we can meet that timeline. So I try to like avoid wasting anybody's time, their time and my time.
for sure. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I like to do that too. I call them like little like you ever play much like Texas Hold'em or poker or anything like that?
Not really,
No,
not
either
really.
way, they have
Yeah.
these things called like tells. You know what I mean? You can
Okay.
sort of like and I think it's the same way with clients. There's little tells that come off, little things that happen that you can gauge. Like even if it's like, okay, what direction is this going to go in? Is this going to be good? Could this be bad? Could it be like this? Could it be like that? And sometimes it's like the best client you've ever had in your life. Sometimes it could be the worst. And it's like that intuition you had when you were going through like all those questions at the beginning. You're like, man, like how did I not see this? Or like, oh man, this is fantastic. So,
Yeah.
having that, you kind of have to have a good intuition for it and try and read people, which kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Because then it doesn't. So like, I would rather it be like what you're saying. Like, someone brings you in, they're trusting you as a professional. They might have seen what you've done online, or they were referred to you. So it's like sometimes you're like, well, why can't you just trust it? Like, why is there so
Yeah.
much like so much of a runaround? Why can't you just trust it? You know what I mean? But some people can't. They're not like that.
Yeah. the way I've seen it and I've learned over the years, not just with business but in life, if you force something, if you force something too much, it can turn out bad with anything.
Yeah.
So like sometimes there's like these little things that are just kind of like telling you, like you said, your intuition. And unfortunately, I think with when you're running your own show, your own business, into that type of intuition, you don't get it right away. Like
No.
it's like over the years you
Oh,
start
hell
building
yeah.
it and all that. So now I just go with my gut feeling. If something seems off, um, I approach it a different way and just try to get to the
Yep.
point of what's going on. Don't beat around the bush too much and things like that. Because nowadays with especially now with all these marketing people and all that stuff, everybody wants to call you, act like they want to act like they're a customer, and the next thing you know, they're trying to sell you a service, and
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of annoying.
It is annoying. It's very much annoying. Yeah, we're especially in our trade. It's just getting bombarded with a lot of that stuff too. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
I just seen in the comments someone was mentioning pricing, and I was curious: is it pretty tight in your area for pricing? Or are you pretty happy with where you're sitting right now? I mean, I think everyone always wish or hope that they could make more, but for where you're sitting right now, are you kind of like on a good line?
Yeah,
Is it
I
pretty
think I think
tight?
yeah, I think I'm fine. I feel like I'm 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 trying to restructure my whole pricing system
Yeah,
because 1 year of like full overhead has been different trying to figure things out. Because once you have that overhead is different. Where I was at for years, it was kind of like my buddy, the one that I started with, and he's kind of like, just give me whatever, give me this, give me that. So it was like it was perfect. If it was slow, it didn't hit you that hard. Um, I feel like there's room for there's a little bit more room. There's room for a little bit more money for a little bit more money.
yeah,
I'm trying to make those connections. I'm trying to make those connections, and I think though that will come from more like bigger jobs,
right.
bigger jobs. Yeah, I'm trying to make those connections. But I'm happy where I'm at. I can't. I don't like to get greedy. I'm fine. I feel like what we what we price or what we quote, they're gonna get every cent of it or more. I don't see any clients saying that it wasn't worth it. Like if you were to ask them, they'll say that the experience was good because I'm selling an experience. I'm not just selling the job. It's the
Yeah,
whole experience, like everything. Like I'm gonna sit down with you. I'm gonna do this. You have a question, I'll answer it. I'll text back and all that. So it's like more of the experience that you're gonna deal with us. Um, so there's always room for more, but it's one of those things. If you're gonna charge more, there has to be reasons why. Overhead, if we look to expand, maybe a bigger shop, obviously
yeah,
everything has to change,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
once those things take place, I see like in another year probably. Um, I think we've been in our space for a year, and more than often, like we've outgrew the space already. Um, right now, right now where we're at, we can manage a good amount of work, and we kind of use every inch of the space. But I already see myself. I'm subleasing half of the shop. The other shop is being used as storage. I'm already seeing myself by the next year. I have to take over that full shop, or at least
Right.
when my lease is up, the rest of it. And the rest of it is kind of like the big square warehouse. Um, and once I do that, obviously things have to change, and I have to get serious about everything because it's a big. We're talking at that point we're like what 2,400 or something a
Right.
month.
Yeah, and you got to keep that full. You got to keep that shit going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing's gotta be there's gotta be work. At that point,
Yeah.
when I'm at that point, I have to make sure either I'm at the shop all the time or there's somebody at the shop all the time. Because guess what? Regardless, if I have one slab table sitting there,
Yeah.
that heat's gotta run
Correct.
24 hours a day. Like it doesn't matter. Like it has to run.
Yeah.
The shop has to stay conditioned. So, um, things are gonna change. Things are gonna change, and I'm not too worried about like the business side, like trying to figure like I'm not too worried about being able to find work. I know that I've built enough connections that I think we can get enough work.
Yeah.
What I need to work on is like more personal things, like work on trying to let go of things. Like I can't be that like I do it or nobody else can do it type of
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like those are personal things that I have to kind of let go.
Those are hard to
Um,
let go of sometimes, oh man. They're
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
They're
Those
tough.
those 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 will be hard, but I I feel that if I'm a little bit more lenient, and I think the only way it's gonna happen is if I'll start doing it while like I'm not at the site. Like if I'm not at the site, like have someone like say, hey, you gotta let's get this thing sprayed out after a couple times of trying it. Let's get this thing sprayed out, but I can't be there. I can't be there because I want them to go through. You can teach. I'm sure you can teach anybody to spray, right? You can teach anybody to grab. Hey, grab this gun, spray this door, and they're gonna get it. That's not the problem. The problem is the troubleshooting.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when shit goes south? Like when your thing's not priming, or when it's clogged, or when it's just not pumping, pressure tip is clogged. What are you gonna do then? So that's the most important part. So I have to figure out how to train somebody on that part, because if
Yeah.
they can figure that part and like, hey, because like now I'm sure you can, and I know you've helped me out a lot, and a couple other guys on here. I'm sure if you ask them with enough experience, hey, I'm having this issue. Oh, try this,
Yeah.
and boom, that's the answer. So those are the kind of things that I want to make sure if I get more people on, they learn how to troubleshoot everything first before getting that like, hey, go ahead, you can take on this
Yeah,
project by
but
yourself.
that's tough though, man, because all that troubleshooting stuff it just comes with all those years of experience. It can
Yeah,
be taught, but it can't like you it's hard. It's like learning a second language. Like you really have to start thinking that way. You can't just
yeah,
always be doing the translation in your head. You got to be
yeah,
trying to think in that other language. And it's the same thing with painting. Like you have to be thinking like a painter, you know.
yeah.
So I tell my guys that when we're prepping and looking around, I'm like, think like a sprayer. Like as we're getting ready, I'm like, if you were spraying, like, is this ready? Is that ready? You have to always be like thinking a few steps ahead. So, you know,
That's why I don't get why don't the manuals, like when you buy equipment, why do they have the troubleshooting all the way at the end? Like put that shit in front so you can see like so you can be like, oh, okay, like hey, if this happens,
yeah,
just as a review. Because in reality, when most people are not gonna read that, and if they do, they're
yeah.
not getting that far.
Yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know?
it's nice to have like a few tricks in your pocket from like people that have done it before you that you're like, oh man, that's sweet. Oh great. But like I've said many times before, it's the best way to learn is to make the mistake. You won't forget it that way.
Yeah,
I notice that even like sometimes when my son comes and works with me, it's been a real eye opener in training people because everyone learns different and they're not always going to do it your way. So
yeah, that's true.
it's a hard one, right? It's tough.
Yeah, yeah, because you can say, hey, when this happens, you do this, this, and this, and that, but
Yeah,
they're gonna figure out their own
yeah.
way
Or
of.
they're not gonna my point to that was they're not might not want to try and troubleshoot it. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, okay, and it's like, dude, I told you how easy it was to do it. Like, oh yeah, I know, and like, you don't want to do it, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was telling my father-in-law. He doesn't do too much spraying, but I had a situation. I had to leave, and he was going back to the shop, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm like, take the HVLP gun. I'm like, and I should have just done it myself. Like I should have just released the pressure and just kind of like boom, left it like that. And I said, take it to the shop. I'm like, and clean it, release the pressure first, twist it off, and
Yeah.
all this. Well, he didn't do that, and I found out the next day when I went there. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? There was like paint everywhere. He's like, well, I opened it, it's just splashed everywhere because it's one of those like a PPS cup. So when he opened it, it's just like it was already suction and it just fucking splashed everywhere.
Oh
And I'm just
fuck.
like, but that wasn't his fault. It was my fault. But now he knows, hey, release the
Oh,
pressure
he knows
first and
now.
do all this and all that. I'm still mad that he didn't clean up the mess all the way.
Well, yeah. It's usually how it goes. It's like, no, I'm fucking
Right.
cleaning this shit up. What the fuck?
But
Yeah, no, it's tough. And you made a good point. You're not always gonna have, you know, that he's saying like not every soccer team's gonna have 11 Messis or Ronaldos, and I agree. Everybody has their place. I'm just now calculating my risks more in terms of, do I want to take a chance in someone who's has experience, who says they've been doing this a long time, but sometimes maybe they're stuck in their own ways, they have their own habits, or do I go back to like the basics and teach someone from scratch? I'm still kind of on the fence because, you know, I could have probably like a whole army of kids come help me this summer with my son now that he's, you know, 16, he's driving, he's
Right.
buddies. So I'm like, yeah, like fucking let's do it. But then you're constantly babysitting, right? Then it's like you're literally having to watch every minute, you know, unless it's something like super mindless. But, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really know. Like, I kind of like being at 4 right now, but it depends.
Yeah, I think I made the decision of if I'm gonna get anybody else, it's gonna be someone fresh with
Yeah,
no experience. I just need somebody that wants to work and that's reliable, and we'll take care of the rest.
yeah.
I mean, my father-in-law was, I mean, he was always handy doing things, but he knew nothing about. I actually started. He helped me out of kind of like desperation. I was working at the paint store, and this is when it went from like just doing shop work and spraying on the side to like now I had to take on the full project. Like I took on a kitchen. Next thing you know, I took on the project, deposits paid and everything, and I'm just like, shit, how am I gonna do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, luckily it was an empty house and all that, but then I asked him, and I said, hey, I'm like, you're down to like, come help me out. And it just started with like, hey, do this, do that, do this, and he caught on real quick with all the sanding, degreasing, masking. I mean, right now I can like a kitchen that has about 80 pieces. I can leave him there by himself. He'll have that thing ready for me to just show up with the sprayer and spray.
That's wicked.
100%.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the reason I want to get somebody else is because also that's I want to take some weight off of him too.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do that for so long by yourself, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it could
we
still
try to
be
tech.
years of doing it,
Yeah.
but eventually, you know, you start to slow down or burn out or whatever. Working by yourself can be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. We try to jump on everything we can like together. So like we'll be there for the prep and we'll be both cranking it out. And it's when it's spray time, he jumps out and he like, oh, now we'll be like, hey, go to the shop and start prepping
Yeah,
this.
yeah, for
And then
sure.
I'll stay on site, spray, and then I'll meet him at the shop and do whatever else.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like we kind of make it work that way. Where once we're like once we don't need two people here, let's move on to the
Yep.
next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
it's
like
been
that.
working out.
I like that overlapping work where it's like you do this, you know the next step's going to come and someone might be already be doing it and then ding ding ding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it works well for sure. That's what we do all the time on our jobs, but we know each other well, so it's another thing too where it's like when you put somebody new into the mix then it becomes like almost like the engine's not running properly. It's like misfiring a little bit. You know, we were running like perfectly in sync before and that can be a little bit annoying. But I mean at the same time it's like it's the same thing as, you know, the value of what do you find more valuable? Like taking more time to teach somebody to do it right or just going with something because you're in a hurry. It's a tough one, right?
yeah, yeah. It's a tough one. You're constantly like it's always going to be a battle of what's a better situation, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think like over the years I think I like it more having well, I think it shows in the people that I have with me. Everyone I have with me has been doing this for a super long time and I've known them for a super long time and we've kind of learned together. So we kind of like to teach people from the ground up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, for me, that's going to be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this one kid that was helping us out, and he actually did like he was in road construction. So during the winter, they shut down. They're not doing
Oh,
any
okay.
construction. So I had him last year, and he was helping out, and he was good. I mean, he caught on like he was just doing shop work. So he was like degreasing, sanding, and like you just told him one time, hey,
Yeah.
do it this way, this, and then boom, he caught on quick. He put on his headphones and he went to town. And and he was happy. But the problem is that I mean, I'm competing against a union job that he's gonna have.
Oh,
Season starts.
it's probably so cushy for him too when he's working,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's like the labor that he's doing during the summer for road work is hard work.
Yeah,
Um, which is why he kind of liked the work that he was doing with us.
for sure.
But that pay will never be the same.
No, no,
That
hell
pay with
no.
benefits and all that stuff will
But
never be the
you
same. So,
know, maybe one day he looks at like the long road and the bigger picture and sees that, you know, you could probably do something a little bit more on your own terms with painting, right? So my brother before he started painting, he was doing concrete. That's kind of why he got into painting because he realized, man, oh, excuse me. He's like, either I'm gonna work for the man all the time, or it's gonna be so expensive for me to start a concrete company. You
Yeah.
know, like the amount of tools, the overhead, and all that stuff. So he jumped into painting. You know,
Yeah.
so but union job, like my buddy's like a garbage man for the city, and it's like such a cushy job, man. So
Yeah.
cushy. And you have to be
Yeah.
okay with that. I wasn't really okay with that. I was always reaching for the stars. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, this like sky's the limit now. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to make as much money as I can, do as much as I can. Which brings me to
Yeah.
my next point is that it's really hard though, hey, to try and grow as a company when you're kind of maxed out in terms of the amount of help that you have, so where are you at kind of right now? Are you chasing jobs? Are you trying to catch up to jobs, or jobs coming through at a nice pace where you finish one, you have one, you're pre-booked? Like, what's it like for you?
Yeah. We're right now at this point. Right now we're back. I want to say we're probably backed up. So we're trying to catch on. We're working on a really big project right now, and I, I sometimes I post about it. I don't really get a chance so much because we're working on so many areas in the home that it's just that job is nice. Clients are super, man. They're the best clients, man. They're awesome. They're awesome. But it is a big project. It is a big project, and we're cranking out the work. But um, I have to also give time to the other projects. I have to make sure I make it back to the shop.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a balancing act because I can't just step away from the shop. The shop has to continue. There has to be work there regardless. With a shop and overhead, I cannot ever say like, yeah, we're gonna focus on this full on just on site. So what I try to do is I try to make it like, hey, we're gonna go spray. Let's say today is priming day. Let's just say we say today's priming day. We go there and we prime. We let that thing sit. I figure instead of waiting for it to be sandable or anything like that, let's let's back out. Let's go to the shop, do anything that we can do there, or start prepping another job. But I communicate that with my clients and I let them know, hey, today we're going to do this. Today we're probably going to be a partial day here because we're going to do this. So
Mm-hmm.
they know they don't just think like, hey, this guy's just showing up for a couple
Yeah.
hours and is gone.
Yeah.
But also we make sure that we're out of there. Like most of our kitchens, even the bigger kitchens, like we're on site for 3 days for the boxes for 3 days. If there's an additional color, let's say on the island, we're there for 4 days. Just because I like to spray the island first. So I prime everything, spray the island first if it's a secondary color, and then we let it sit and then we mask it before we move on to the next thing. Before we even sand the primer for the rest of the boxes. So that adds on that extra day.
Right.
And I usually try to stack it with another project that we're going to do and things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's fees associated for the secondary color, and that'll cover why we're there for an extra day.
Right.
And but yeah, man, it's I see this business that Correa Custom Finishes doing the same type of work, but with more talented people on board in the next couple of years. Um, I don't think this is not just going to be like the only thing I have. Um, Not that I get bored easily with things, but I always look for other things that I can do. I mean, I was always into like music, and just different things. Like now with the wifey, now we're looking at just different business opportunities that you can do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're talking with her. It's a little hard because I'm more of like, yeah, let's go. We'll figure it out. Let's go. Let's do it. Like that's a fucking great idea. Let's fucking do it. We'll figure it out. And she's more like, whoa, 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 hold on,
Yeah.
let me see the terms, let me see this, let me see that. She needs that. But I think over the years being around me, like now she's kind of like she's almost like accepting that okay, cool, like I'm trusting you,
Yeah.
this and that. So whenever she has an idea business related, I say let's do it and let's crank it out and see what happens. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the worst that can happen? It just doesn't work.
Yeah. That's about
But
it.
then if you don't try it, it's like the same thing everybody always says, right? If you don't try it, you'll never know.
No, you
and then you
won't,
got to live with that regret.
yeah, and you won't even have anything from it. You'll have no reference. You'll have no data. You'll have nothing to like make you and help you stronger the next time you go to make the decision to try again. You know. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're,
that's
yeah,
how right now she's I'm helping her I'm helping her more with like pretty much by giving her every mistake I've made
yeah.
and things I see in my business. She has like a balloon decor business, so like parties,
Perfect.
events, and all that.
Yeah,
And she was in the medical field, so now she's just doing this, and we're trying to see how it'll work.
yeah,
She's got gigs here and there. We're just trying to see what we can do.
for sure.
And it ain't stopping there. Like there's other ideas that we have, and we
Oh,
will. I will make sure we're gonna try those ideas,
absolutely.
and if they fail, they fail. Like it doesn't matter.
It
Like
doesn't matter in this day and age too. It's like the opportunities are there's. It's easy to try and like capitalize on some of these opportunities nowadays with technology and
yeah,
the way things are, and yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
How
no. And there,
how many hours do you work a week?
um, we're I put me myself. I'm doing. We would just work Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
and we're doing 8 hours. Our work day will end no later than 5, but we will come in earlier if we need to.
Yeah.
So if like for us, it's like we if we come in earlier, like the it doesn't matter. Like we can still stay later, but 5 o'clock, like I need to be in my car on the road and
Right.
going back. I'm a big family man, and I missed out on my first two kids a lot of things, and I don't want that to happen again for the little ones. So I make sure that I get in that car and
Yeah.
I go back. I try to be when I'm with them. I try to make sure it's family time. Don't get me wrong, if I need to, I'm sure you guys seen like when I first got the shop, I was there was a lot of late nights. I was there late, cranking out work and all that, just because I was uh I was just trying to crank out as much
Yeah.
work as I can. Like, hey, let's get on to the next job. So but everybody understands. Everybody understands in the family. Like my older kids, they understand that if I'm not, there's only two places where I'm at. I'm either with my family or I'm making money. That's it. And if I'm hanging out with people, it usually has to do with something business related. Uh, most of most of my friends that I like, most of the people that I would consider friends became family, and so they're considered family. So I'm around family or people that have something to do with work, some kind of business or something like that.
Yeah.
Try to surround myself with that. Just grow. That's where I get a lot of my ideas from other people that are either more successful than me, and try to pick their brain about things and just do that,
Yeah.
because
That's usually how it
I
works.
can't surround myself around people that ain't got it and they
Yeah.
complaining about it.
Oh yeah. The big
You
talkers
know?
with the poor resumes.
Yeah.
That's
I'm trying to surround myself
yeah.
around the
Yeah.
people like that.
And I mean, you had a family young, so I mean that probably had a big effect on your social life a little bit. You know, us, we were so young that not that we lost our friends, but it wasn't the same. The friendships
Yeah.
changed, relationships changed, the way we live our lives changed, and I'm the same as you. It's like if I want to be sitting at a table with people that have different, talking about different things, stuff that's different, stuff that I can grow off of, stuff that I can, use myself. But I don't do too much of that anymore. I mean, mind you, now that my kids are getting older, my son's driving now and stuff like that. So that's kind of like changed, like been a huge change in our the way we book our schedule, me and my wife. But
Right.
we're doing things more now and stuff. But now it's like we go hang out with our buddies, and they all have like small kids now. So we're kind of like, been there, done
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like when your kids grow up, they're barely starting with little ones.
Yeah, and
That's
it's and you don't like it's great. It's great to see it, but it's also like nah, been there,
yeah.
So, but it's you do what you have to do, and it definitely affects the way you run your company. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah. Like now, what I try to do is like instead of going out and being out late and things like that, like I'd rather have some really close people come
yeah,
by. We'll grill and hang out, and
yeah,
it's like, man, we're paying this mortgage. We gotta entertain people inside
yeah,
here and do
absolutely,
some
man,
stuff,
definitely,
and that's it. If not, we're gonna go to the shop. It's nice and warm or nice and cool over there
yeah,
and
yeah.
hang out.
No, that's nice, man. Like, so does your shop have like kind of an area where it's not always like in the dirty spray area? Like, you have like a little area that you can kind of have a coffee and something like that.
uh the front area when you first walk in is supposed to be, I was supposed to set up an area there where like, hey, if the kids wanted to come in the
Yeah,
summer, they could kind of hang out. And that just became like the in and out area. Like, hey,
right.
stuff coming in sits there and stuff going out that's ready to leave sits there. So like the front area would probably be like the more dust free area. We try to do all of our like dirty work all the way in the back, like our prep area is all the way in the back, and try to run as much as we can,
Yeah,
vacuum, you know, air cleaners and all that stuff,
yeah,
just to try to keep it as clean as possible. Um, but yeah, we'll get there. I think when I expand to the rest of the shop, I'll be able to have that full room
yep.
as more of like a maybe like a showroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but right now, no. Right now, I just I right now I don't even I think I don't think the kids have even gone to the shop in a while just
Yeah,
because they'll tell me like, hey, we can stop by. And I'm just like, nah, I got a
yeah.
table drying in the front.
Yeah. Yeah, my
I got
family
some.
rarely comes to my shop. My shop's small, and I had my shop kind of going before I landed this one custom home builder. And every time they drop off more stuff, I'm like, fuck, my shop is not big enough anymore. There's just not enough fucking space. But we make it happen. We make it happen. It's just it's so expensive. Like, I was looking around to maybe go bigger, and it's just so expensive. This my shop's on like family land, so it's kind of like
Yeah,
private land.
yeah,
So it's pretty sweet. Like, I got my cousin in the shop next door. He
yeah.
restores like muscle cars and shit like that. So
Oh,
it's like,
nice.
so when my paint's drying, I can go over there, literally sit in like his little lazy boy. Like, he's got a TV in there. They're just like shop bunnies. They're just always just working on cars. So that's pretty cool. No one bothers us. It's super cheap, but it's yeah. I could use more space myself for sure.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I have ideas. I already have the spray booth. I bought the spray booth already.
Oh, nice.
Um, I bought the spray booth for the larger area, an open face one, and that's gonna go there. Right now, it's just disassembled. I actually got it from another guy that was doing like high gloss furniture, and they kind of like he kind of would like do like little startup businesses and things
Right.
like that. And he shut down because they have like and they have like I don't know if it's like an antique store or something where they pretty much go like to old homes that are getting tore down and like pull all the beams and fixtures and all that stuff. So he has like a an actual store that he sells all that. So
That's
I think
cool.
that's where his main focus is at. So he just kind of shut down the spraying part of it,
Right.
and he posted it actually on Instagram that he was shutting down. And right away, I'm like, you know what? I should ask him if he's gonna what's up with the spray booth.
Yeah.
And I asked him. He gave me a good price. I picked it up,
That's sweet.
and I now actually he's actually trying to pass me on some work, but
Oh, perfect.
for that because his clientele now they're still calling him obviously for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
type of furniture. He's not doing it anymore, and he said he won't be going back to that
Yeah.
anymore. So he was doing solvent, like all solvent stuff.
Yeah.
I think pre-cat or something like
Oh,
that. But
nice. Yeah.
yeah, that's how I try to build my relationships through little scenarios like that.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
that's how I probably met most people. It's just
That's the best thing, man. Word of mouth networking, just actually just being, a good, genuine human, really helps you connect with people on a level where they can trust you, and then they want to pay you to do certain work. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, a lot
yeah,
of a lot of the times when I was doing repaints before, probably 90% of the people I did repaints for, I ended up becoming friends with.
yeah. No, it's nice when it turns out that way because then it doesn't feel you don't feel so pressured. Like it's the pressure is not the same.
No, it's
Like you don't
not.
feel like
It's
you're
not.
pushing it.
No. But it's hard. Like, I don't know if you ever, like, I haven't had huge issues in the past, but I've had some issues where working for friends and family can be hard sometimes, right? It can be
I
real
look at it this
fucking
way:
pain.
if I'm going to do something for a friend or family member, like I told you, most friends turn into family. So if I'm
Yeah.
gonna do some for a friend, most of the time I'm gonna do it for free.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to do that that whole thing like, oh, like should I give them a discount?
Yeah.
Then you kind of like that whole you're dealing with that whole thing. So it's just like it's either like for family, I'm gonna help you out, and if you want to give me something, you give it to me, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you got to be flexible, obviously. Like, hey, on my downtime or whatever. Um, but most of my family, then. they're not getting no cabinets for finished.
Yeah, I know for sure. Yeah. My mother-in-law and she lives in a different city than us. She was like, "Oh, I'd love to redo my cabinets." I'm like, "Well, if you want, just let me know. One day I'll come down there and I'll respray your cabinets for you." I'm like, "But you got to take them apart. You got to prep them. You got to do everything. I'll help you and I'll show you, but you got to do most of it. I'll just do the spraying part. Shit like
Yeah,
that."
yeah, no, it's a hard one.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally.
I've had family members ask about like tables and furniture and
Yeah.
dressing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's throw that thing out.
I
Like, it's
know,
not even.
no doubt. I had some cousins ask me too. Oh, like you think you could respray this? And I'm like, how much do you love it? Like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, how much do you really love it? Like, is this something you want to keep in the family for like another 50 years? Because you're not going to want to afford for me to repaint it because it's such a pain in the ass sometimes,
Yeah,
And they think it's so easy, right? They think it's like, I see Danny online all the time spraying, so I should ask him. And then you're like,
yeah,
and then you tell them, they're like, oh, it's expensive. I'm like, well, what do you fucking think?
yeah. No, it is. I think everybody. That's the problem with like social media. It's like we make everything look
Oh yeah.
so easy, and it's like boom, boom, boom. Let's do this. Oh man, I just saw him earlier. He was barely masking, and now he's spraying top coat. It's like, yeah, that video was recorded last week.
Oh, I know. I had someone say that to me the other day. I was like, "Oh man, you did that so fast." I'm like, "Well, I what?" Like I was almost like still shocked that people still thought it was like live like that. I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
like those were like two photos from two different days just posted today." Like, no.
Oh, I've had that with like I've had that with like when it gets busy and I have like a
Yeah.
client that's waiting for me to start and I tell them like, hey, when I'm in the area, I'll stop in, and the next thing you know, I tag the area and they're like, oh, you were in the area, you
Yeah.
didn't. I'm like, yeah, that I was in the area like last week and I had that video and I posted it. Like I wasn't there today. I'm nowhere near the area today, but that's the bad part about that, you know?
It's a double-edged sword, man. I stopped doing it when I'm super busy and I have like multiple things on the go with multiple builders. Sometimes I try, like sometimes I won't be posting because then it's like, oh, I seen you were like over there, like you were doing that, like, oh, how come you're not over here? Or like, oh, I seen your guy over there, like, so it became this thing where I was like, oh man, it started like, kind of fucking me over a little bit because I was like,
Yeah.
they're watching my schedule through social media and they're
Yeah.
scheduling it themselves now, and like same thing. I'm like, that actually wasn't that what the fuck? So I had
Yeah.
to
Well,
stop with that a little bit.
that's funny that you say that because the project that I'm working on right now, they're awesome. They follow me. I don't even know if they're on here, but it's pretty funny because they came into the site. The wife came into the site and she was kind of like looking at what we're doing, and social media came up, and I said, yeah, I have to be real careful what I post because I'm supposed to be here
Yeah.
like doing a lot of stuff. And she's like, yeah, I've been checking your stories, making sure that you're not at another job site working,
And
working.
yeah,
You
but
know,
it's like,
it was all like it was just like a joke. It
yeah.
was I'm sure it ain't for real, but it was just it's funny because it could be like that. It could
Well,
be like that, you
I've
know.
had some people actually be like that, and I kind of have to be like, well, like, you can't expect me to not take on other work. Like, you're not the only person that I'm working for, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I also had people over examine their jobs through the social media sometimes because they're not there. Sometimes they're not there, so they're watching. It's been bad.
Yeah. This guy said, "Why do you?" I happen to glance. I try to not look at the comments, but he says, "Why do you wear hats inside the house?"
I wear a hat inside the house because I'm motherfucking bald. That's why.
I always wear my hat. I would actually I don't like for the first week when I get a haircut and it's nice and clean. I won't wear a hat just to kind of like to make the haircut worth it.
Yeah.
But once it starts outgrowing a little bit, then I just like, all right, let's put this hat on real quick,
Yeah, and I wear a
and
hat
that's it.
like 99% of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, fucking bald, man.
yeah, that's same thing with me. I try to now. I just try to wear my hats though.
Yeah.
Before I would wear a lot of different hats. Now I just wear my hat.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's always people always ask about it, like on my son's
That's what I'm
baseball
saying.
games, and all. They always ask.
It's the power of
I was
branding. So let me
Yeah.
ask you that: has social media, or Instagram, or any of the platforms have they changed the way you've been doing business or done business, and it has it grown your business. Sorry about the dogs. You can probably hear the fucking dogs,
No,
but
you're good. Um, yeah, I don't think I was using it more as a portfolio and just kind
yeah,
of like showcasing my work and all that. And I think now it's this past year has been changing. I try to do like I try to just test to see how those like Instagram ads work and just see if I got anything different in that. I didn't notice a difference, so I stopped doing them. But it was a good test because I was always curious about that because ads would
yeah,
pop up on mine. So I was trying to see like how much you can like narrow it down to the area or your market, and you can get it pretty
yeah.
close. But I don't think anybody was going to hire me off of that. So what I started doing a lot more is just tagging areas. So the neighborhoods that I'm working at,
Yep.
the village that I'm working at, city or whatever, I just tag them, and that has been bringing me on a lot more leads. Mostly for furniture. I see
No
that a lot.
shit.
Yeah, for furniture. Like I haven't really got anything. I'll get like a built-in every now and then through Instagram, but mostly it's been through furniture. Like they'll see me like a homeowner will see me like redoing a table or doing something with a
Yeah.
table, and it happened to be in their area, and they'll right away contact me. Hey, I have a similar table. Can you give me your price? And we just go from there. Or I'll have like I had two clients that wanted their tabletops just stripped down because they wanted to do their DIY thing,
Right.
whatever they're gonna do. But they didn't want to go through that part of the sanding because they thought, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'll pick it up, sand it, sand it down, and drop it back off. I'm like, I don't care. I mean, it's good. You know, they're happy. I'm happy. We make money. They get their project done. You know,
Yeah.
so I've been getting that's the only type of work that I've been getting from Instagram.
No
It's
shit.
more furniture,
Do you do
which is kind of
Facebook at all?
no,
No.
no Facebook.
Yeah.
I haven't. I probably should, but I know some of the stuff kind of crosses over, like especially like if you're doing ads, I think it
Yeah, they're
crosses under.
kind of the same thing now with Meta kind of running it all, but it's
Right.
like if you don't like you, I don't think you need to. Well, you just kind of said it like you don't really need to be on Facebook if you're busy, but Facebook, I think Instagram's got just as good as honing in on the demographic when it comes to the paid advertisement. It's probably pretty good now comparative to Facebook, but it's like you're saying like well it's either you want to get more work and deal with like figure out how to do it later or get more people and then get more work. So it's like if you don't really need it, you don't really need it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I'm still trying to figure it all out. When I came on here, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be like straight like what I see some of these professional like pages like business pages from painting companies where it's just like you can just tell like everything's like there's no it's not humanized like there's nothing to it and I wanted to make sure that that's not what we did like I want to make sure we go on here and like now for the most part I started showing my face because of you because you told me I was going to be on this podcast so when you started asking me about that I said
You
oh
know
thank
why? It's because for the longest time we talked for a long time, man. And then I started going through your feed, and I was like, I don't actually think I know this. I don't think I've ever seen this guy's face ever.
yeah so that's what I started that I think that's when I started like I started doing some things like kind of like just voiceovers and things like that,
Yeah,
talking about projects. And then that's when I started linking up with all the painters that I talk to right now, like Padilla and that whole group, you know.
yeah.
Um, so they have a group, and then that's how I met them. I actually met them through you because I think you jumped on one of their lives that they
Oh,
had.
okay. Yeah,
And so I was kind of watching. I'm like, man, I'm like, I didn't know this whole group of painters and finishers existed. Like it was just weird. Like I had never met any of them.
yeah.
Vicente,
That's
none
pretty
of them.
cool. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty.
So
It runs
when,
pretty deep. Yeah,
yeah. And then once I did that, then it was cool because then I met everybody, and I've already built like really strong relationships with some of them. So it's I don't know. It's been awesome.
yeah.
It's been I can't say I've had too many bad experiences. with it because I'm just kind of like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I don't. Someone says something. Someone could say on something on the comment. I'm just like, I'll look at it and be like, I just like whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they tell me at home. They're like, you just don't. You. The problem is that you don't care. I'm like, well, I cared for a long time about things, and sometimes you just gotta
Oh,
let go of certain
absolutely.
things, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a
But
pretty thick skin to, especially be putting yourself online. I used to talk about that in a lot of my first podcasts because you're putting yourself out there, you know. And whether some people think, well, this is just a fun little platform, well, it's growing so fast and it has grown so fast that now it's like you're putting yourself out there for everybody to see. So you kind of got to be prepared for that, and I think some people underestimate that a little bit. So I don't blame you. It's hard to sometimes to get on camera and even try and put how to or helpful videos out there. I think it's just getting to a point where it's become so oversaturated that sometimes now it's just annoying and becomes funny,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's and I've had people that I do work with, um, you know, say comments about the fact that I'm showing my face and or just in general just being in there after not being in my videos for so long.
Yeah,
Um, in the areas that I work in, I'm just like whatever, man. I'm gonna do my thing and that's it.
yeah. But being personable is good too, you know. So I think being out there is great if you can do it. If you can be on film, be personable, people get to see you. They get to see the man behind it all, right? So
Yeah,
that's helpful, right?
yeah. It's I, and it's almost like you'd be surprised because there's a lot of people that, like I said, turn into clients because they've been watching you
Yeah,
for a while. They just follow you. They might not even like think about hiring you now, but they see the information you put out there and they just follow you and like your stuff every now and then. And then you almost build that like almost like a relationship without knowing them to
correct.
where they let's say when they decide to call you, it's like they know you
Yep,
already.
yeah. That's
They know
almost the
what you look
power of
like.
branding and marketing, man. That's just pretty
Yeah.
much what it is.
Yeah, so it's nice. I try to not we try to not make it like super annoying with the thing. I mean, I'll put my logo, little
Yeah,
scrolling through the videos at the end, and that's it. That's just to kind of get the name out there. And it works because everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I see that you do that all the time." And when I don't do it, I have a couple guys that are big into branding, and they're like, "Hey, you
yeah.
didn't put
Make
your thing
sure.
at the
Yeah,
end."
it matters. It matters. Well, once again, like I've always said to a lot of people, depends on how you want to use the platform. Sometimes people are using it because yeah, they want to make sales. They want to get more jobs, and that's fine. But if you are doing it that way, then yeah, it's got to be seen. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it just gets annoying when it's like when you see like the videos where it's like the people
Yeah,
repeat their names in every
yeah, yeah.
video
Yeah.
in the beginning, and it's kind of like, oh my
Hi
god,
is
like
hi is Johnny from so and so.
yeah, and like I get it, but I don't know that they're not understanding the marketing in that aspect where you're not knocking on a door every time you turn your camera on. So it's
Yeah,
I don't know, but to
yeah.
each
No,
their own. Hey, go ahead, go hard.
that's I feel the same way because I actually I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it at one point, like, oh, I think I'm gonna start doing videos like
Yeah,
introducing myself and all that. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't have a lot of followers, so whoever follows me
yeah,
knows who the fuck I am.
yeah,
So it's like it was kind of pointless. So I'm just
yeah,
like, nah, I'm like I'll just keep on doing what's natural and what we're doing. I'm not gonna force it. We're not gonna go too crazy with it and that's it.
yeah. Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's like I said, however you want to use it, and if you can help people at the same time, it's great. If your clients get to see it, you know what? It's helped me a lot in terms of I don't get a lot of work in the sense that people aren't seeing me as like and I'm not like a landing page for people to call me. You know what I mean? It's been more of people are they get to see my portfolio, and then it puts more trust in them hiring me after I've sort of knocked on their door. Like
Yeah.
now, if I go and email builders, now it's like they see the page and it's kind of like it becomes a pretentious thing, but it's like it's helped me in that way build trust.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. As far as when we were talking about like getting work from there, I actually had a client. Not I had she turned into a client. I followed her because they had did like high end real estate and all
Yeah.
that, and I followed her, and they do beautiful homes, liking a lot of the pictures and being active. Never trying to sell the work that we do. And then one time she reached out and she said, "Hey, thinking about having like my cabinets refinished." So I'm like, "Oh, boom, perfect. This is the time right now." Like I thought I was being contacted because of the cabinet refinishing,
Yeah.
but no, she was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about using the guy that we've been using for a lot of the projects, and this is what he wants to do." And I'm just like, I'm just like, all right. So at that point, I had to make a decision. Like, all right, do she had some questions about refinishing,
Yeah.
just to make sure he was on board. And I was like, I had to make that decision. Like, you kind of like, like, do I want to waste my time? Because it's like, it's not about me.
Yep.
And then I'm just like, you know what? No, I've never done this before. I always help people out. So I said, yeah, what's going on? We went through the whole thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She said, okay, thank you. I said, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I thought that was the end of it. I'm like, oh, she got her kitchen cabinets done, and that's it. Like 2 months later, I got contacted. Hey, we
Nice.
really want you to come and look at them. We were thinking about it. You gave us a lot of information, blah blah blah. And at the end of the day, they turned out to be great clients, and it was awesome. I don't think that would have been possible if I would have kind of let my ego get to me and be like, I'm not gonna help out, like
That's
whatever.
right.
I was just like, you know what? I've helped out people before that have, people across, in another state trying to get information.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I help somebody that's locally? So I did that, and it was awesome. And ever since then, I do the same thing. I don't If someone has a question, I always, even when I'm bidding out stuff and they're doing the back and forth because they have another bid, I always tell them, make sure you ask these questions if
Yeah.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
somebody else. Make sure you ask these questions. That's it. If you ask these questions, you should be good. These are the most important things. Don't be so concerned about this, blah blah blah. And I think they appreciate that because they might not use you for that project, but they might consider you for another one
Oh,
next time.
absolutely, they will. Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
it's just good integrity, integrity again,
yeah,
as a human, and I think that shows a lot and speaks volumes for your company. And I think it shows a lot of empathy too. I think a lot of people will be more intrigued to hire you when they feel like that you really care about their feelings. It's
yeah,
not just about the money and the job. It's also like, okay, like you need something. You're a consumer. So I found that that helps a lot. At
yeah.
least when I
No,
was doing repaints, just when people feel like you understand what they're going through, then it helped a lot for sure.
yeah, yeah. No, it made that, just even that experience, like kind of like changed the whole way I see like my interactions online, and how I approach people. Like, even if something seems kind of odd, like when they're contacting me, I still respond, keep it
Yeah.
professional, boom, boom, because you never know who this person is. They might just be socially awkward or something,
Oh
where
yeah,
they don't know what to
absolutely.
ask.
Yeah.
So you just keep it professional, and then if it turns out to be something that's not supposed to, that has nothing to do with you, then you divert and go a different way or
Yeah, it
whatever.
was crazy because one time I got picked up for a job in the paint store when I was standing in line, but it was really weird because buddy, there were so many painters in the store. So I actually said to the guy later when he hired me, because he was like a weird duckling. That's what made me kind of think about it. That
Yeah,
he was like kind of on the spectrum, but he was super wealthy, super intelligent, but like a nerdy kind of guy. But he
yeah,
needed
yeah.
someone to do some touch ups at his house. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to call. So he went and was hanging out at the paint store
Oh,
because he didn't know what to do. So
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, super smart guys like, well, I'm just gonna go to the paint store. Where's all the painters at? So he's hanging around in there. Yada yada. Long story short, I said to him like, because it was really weird how he went about it. Like super smart. I said, so like, why'd you pick me? He's like, first of all, he was like, I seen what you were driving, and that mattered. I don't have an amazing car, but it was newer, right? And
Yeah.
he's like, so that was one thing. It's like you knew everybody in there, and you were helping the other painters in the store, so I went with you. But when I finally got to his place and he showed me the work to do, it wasn't the best work, but he was like really awkward. So I was like, man, is this gonna be weird? Is this guy this like what does this guy do? He was like almost like
Yeah.
an undercover drug dealer is what it felt like because he had this huge house, like really nerdy. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? But yeah, in the end, he ended up being like just like kind of off the spectrum, really nice guy. Paid me cash, everything like that. It was perfect. It
Yeah.
was perfect. Yeah, from the
Yeah. You
paint
never
store.
you never know. You never know what you're gonna run
You
into.
you never know. You never know. Oh, especially in the paint store. Fuck some of those guys, man. It's fucking crazy.
What I do always, the main question I do ask is when they're looking. So like the area that we work in is everybody has a painter.
Yeah.
Everybody has a painter, and if they're looking for another painter, that means that something happened.
Yeah. True.
You can ask anybody in that area, because it's all word of mouth. Like
Yeah.
the neighbors using their neighbor's painter or the person from down the street's painter, like they're not. It's really hard to get into it. Like just like, hey, I just want to work in this area, and I
Yeah.
don't know anybody. It's really hard to do that. So when something like that comes about, I ask a lot of questions. Um, well, what's going on? What happened? Or when they say,
Yep.
obviously the main one, like, oh yeah, we had a painter, but it didn't work out. Well, why didn't it work out? Like I figured, like, hey, when you open that discussion and they bring up these things, or someone left the job, you have all the right to ask these questions because you're trying to figure out what happened. You're not gonna just jump on the job. Just, hey, yeah, the guy decided to walk out halfway through his masking prep. Like,
Oh,
all right, well,
absolutely.
what happened? What happened here? Why did he leave? Like,
Yep.
let's get down to it. And that's when I ask a lot of questions. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You kind of like pre-qualify or ask everybody the right questions before, and
Yeah.
that usually will save you from a lot of headaches.
Yeah. But you kind of have to. You have to zip through it all. I'm sorry, man. I don't know why I keep yawning. I've been just crushing it. I tried to take a nap even before we started. I was like, man, I'm
Yeah.
so tired. And I keep trying not to yawn into the microphone. But, what'd you say? Where'd you leave off there?
I don't know. No, we were talking about just how the customers, like, sometimes, like, if someone backs out of a job, like, you got to ask those questions, like what's going on,
Yeah,
pre-qualify people and all that.
absolutely. Yeah, the pre-qualified. That's what you're saying. Yeah, I usually do that. I even do that with the jobs that I'm starting. Like if the builder
Yeah.
has like a new job for us, sometimes I can walk through the front door and like you just kind of like looking around and you can know like either this is gonna go really good or this is gonna go really fucking bad. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, just like one of the guys we share work, and he passed down work. I took him onto a job site, and they needed more help for like painting. The current painter just could it was just a workload. I think it was a little bit more work than he expected.
Yeah,
So I took on one of my guys, and I said, "Hey, take a look at it." And he just kind of looked. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of busy." And I said, "Hey," I said, "everybody has their own
yeah,
intuition." I said, "If you feel this ain't for you, then don't do it." I
yeah,
said, I said, I know I have a good relationship with the client, the builder, and the designer. I'm like, but if you don't have that feeling, I don't want to be responsible for you not feeling comfortable here.
yeah,
So do whatever you got to do,
yeah.
but to each their own.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a little different with us in the new home construction because thankfully we don't have to deal with that sometimes because they hire the customer hires the builder hires the painter. So sometimes it's just like here, just do it, and you're like, okay, sweet. It's kind of nice. You don't have to deal with it. But sometimes it becomes real sticky because you become stuck in the middle. Because the client's like, oh well, the builder said this, and it's like, oh well, it's like this, and it's like so. Yeah, the new home construction is a little bit different for that, but
Yeah. I'm learning that with, like, even like some of
some
the projects that we're taking on
yeah,
now. Like, it's different. Who's your main point of contact?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
obviously you start seeing there's a lot of people involved. Everybody has their opinions, and all of a sudden they want, well, I think you should do a sample of
yeah,
this. It's like, okay, hold on, whoa.
yeah,
Like, let's get this down packed. Like, who is saying yes, go ahead and do
yeah.
the
That's right.
sample.
Who's cutting the checks
Like,
here?
yeah, who's cutting the check here?
Yeah, that it's one
Yeah,
hundred percent. And I mean, it sounds like maybe a little like but it's true because it's at the end of the day, it's like whoever's cutting the checks is really the one that's making the call. So whether it's through a designer or this and that, then you know. Hey, I did have one question now that I seen him pop up. Padilla, is that his real name?
Edgar is his name.
Edgar. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just making sure.
Edgar is his name. Yeah, and even we were talking, and he sent me an email. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna receive an email from my personal," and it said like Edgar or something. I'm like, "Is this guy like fucking undercover or something?"
Oh
Like,
my god.
everybody calls him Padilla, and
Yeah.
next this thing pops up
Oh,
with like a
dude, I did
different.
that the longest time with Durate too. Like, I still think I forget his name. I'm pretty sure it's Jorge George.
I know everybody by their screen name.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, me
Yeah,
too. Yeah, I just thought about it
yeah,
because when you said it when you said his name earlier, when you said it, I was like, I wonder if that's. I gotta ask him what his real name is.
Yeah, it's hard enough remembering all these names, and then
Oh,
like
dude,
the
totally.
screen name, and next thing you know, they start popping out their name, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
what? Your name is what? Like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I've done that through my messages, asking people like. I've been chatting with some people for like years and years, and then having to be like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't get your name," and then the way they type it back is kind of like like it's like Ralph kind of thing, and I'm like,
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
I go back through and I'm searching through things. I'm like, did this person tell me their name? I'm like, oh man, they did like 3 times. I'm
The
like,
only the
oh
only
my
one that
god,
you can the only one that you can ask his name, and like JJ.
JJ.
Everybody calls him J. Everybody calls him JJ, and it's like JJ, and he
No,
responds to it and all that stuff. His name's like Ramsey or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, that's
I'm just
right.
like, what? Like, first of all, like, what kind of that's not kind of name is that?
So what's J? So what's JJ then? Did he ever say like, is it stand for anything like his kids or something like that?
No, he just no. I think it's something with his because this is his dad's. Like his dad is the one that like kind of
Oh,
started the business. So
oh,
I
I
think it
see.
has to do something with his dad. Maybe his dad and his brother or something. But he's the one running it.
So
But it was like,
JJ's not even in his name at all. Hey.
no. I could have saw. I'm like, oh, it has to be like Jose or something like that. And then there, and like in that group, in the group that we have, it's like there's so many Jose's and
Oh, I
Juans and this.
bet.
Forget it. Just I'm going off of your screen name and that's it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. The Hispanic community is strong. You
Yeah,
know,
man. I'm telling you, man. I never knew this whole community, like even existed. Like
oh yeah,
even when I tell people now, like, oh yeah, there's like a group that we have and we talk or whatever, and they're like, what group? I'm like, oh yeah, it's like about X amount of painters and we talk and all that stuff, and they don't even know about that. But it's crazy. I could just imagine how many more of these there is.
oh, Facebook's even bigger.
Yeah,
I mean, Facebook's got like the crazies, all the fucking wackos and stuff on it,
yeah,
but there's so many like private pages, you know. But that's what people were getting like. Facebook is getting a lot of hate because there's like administrators and moderators on these pages and shit like that. So it becomes a little clicky. People
yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
like, oh, like, well, I run this page, so blah, blah, blah. But so I never really got onto Facebook much, even when Facebook came out, like, even on its own before all this. But I know there's quite a big community on Facebook for sure. And when I got on to Instagram, I think it was about 7 years ago, there wasn't a lot of people on Instagram. Like, even
Yeah,
Idaho wasn't on here. It took
yeah.
years before he even showed up, which was fucking crazy because literally one day he just popped up and he had like 150,000 followers, which is crazy. It was nuts, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
see, I was sharing all my work through my personal. I had like a personal Instagram,
yeah.
and I was sharing all my work, and then I think then I just like I started talking to a couple people like that I would meet through the paint store, and I would tell them like, oh yeah, I posted. I would show them like something on my Instagram, and then they would be like, oh, you have Instagram, follow, add me, and then I started noticing like, oh man, like I don't know, I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole community of painters and all this stuff,
Oh yeah, it's
and
huge.
that's how I started. That's how I started kind of building it. I'm like, after a while, I was like, maybe I should transition to like just a work page rather than have my personal
Yeah.
stuff here too as well. Because my personal one was private. I have my kids and all my personal
Yeah.
stuff and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
never did the personal one. I mean, I did it for I think the band had one, and then I think I started Facebook only because the one band member was like, "Dude, you need Facebook so we can invite people to shows and blah blah blah." I was like, "Fuck, fine," but I think that's the only reason I had it.
yeah, I think my last post was when my our last kid was born. I think I like posted something,
Yeah.
and that was it. Like it kind of like just died out.
Yeah.
I even tell like some of the people that I know, I said, if you're gonna send me anything on Instagram, like just send it to my business one because I don't really go on that one. I mean, it's there, but it's just like when I see something pop up, is usually how Instagram has like so and so said hello
Yeah.
or wave
Yep.
the hi emoji or something. I just don't even pay attention to that
Yeah.
account. But
Yep.
there's still stuff on there that's like there's a lot of memories on there.
Yeah,
Like
for sure. Yeah, I
so
don't
so
keep
I
my
just kind of
notifications turned on, so sometimes I'll go into Facebook and it'll be like, "Oh shit, I haven't been on here for a while," and then I have to go like catch up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it is for me. I try to not go on there because then it kind of like like, oh damn, like I remember that time. I
Yeah.
remember when I was working on music and all this stuff, and I was like, and then you want to kind of get that itch to start again, but I don't have time for it, man. I don't
Yeah,
have
it's
time
tough
for
when you're
it.
running a family too, man, and the business and, the family life. And then you need time for yourself too. So, it was
Yeah, no,
hard. It was hard. So for me, it was at that point in time in my life, I was doing business and music. And all music took all my extra free time. And then as things started growing and my business and Instagram started growing, my social media took over a little bit more. And the music started to die off. People started moving away.
yeah, yeah. That's I was really big into like music production and kind of like instrumental, kind of like
That's cool though.
production and all
Yeah.
that. So I was like really hard, like before I started kind of doing like going full force on my own thing.
Yep.
That's what I was doing most nights,
Oh
working. I
shit.
was on the computer, I was doing that. I was recording, like I was trying to like come up with like little LPs like every now and then. At the time it was all stream download or whatever,
Yeah.
Bandcamp. So I was trying to do all that. And then we moved to our before we purchased this home, we moved to an apartment. I still had a little studio set up back there, home studio. Didn't work at it as much, but that's when my business started kind of taking off. And then we were only at that apartment for 1 year before we got our
Yeah.
house. So we became owners. And when I got here, the back, like kind of like the back porch, I'm like, I'm gonna make this like my little studio office. That never happened.
Yeah.
There's still stuff in boxes. I'll take it out every now and then. Some stuff to mess around with, but I never really did it. It just takes up right now. I'm too focused on this. It's like this stuff that we're doing right now. Like I think I became like even with the business stuff, I became so addicted to it
Yeah.
that it kind of took my thrive away from that. I mean, I still love it, and I incorporate music and the arts and in other ways
Yep.
through my kids and all that. But I think now I think I'm more focused on this part, and I see the good in it. We're eating good
Yep.
and we're living. Good
Yep.
things are coming out of it. So
That shit might come
maybe
back
later on.
one day for you though, man. Like it has for me. Like the same thing when the band broke up. I didn't do much music at all. I just focused on
Yeah,
my company. I focused on other things, and it came back. But it just depends. If you love doing other things, just do the shit you love to do.
yeah. No, I mean, eventually it will. I mean, I try to just jump on and like just see like how much like just the software and all that stuff. I try to go like last year, like try to go online and just see what some of the software that I was using, like how much it has evolved. And I'm just
Yeah,
like, holy crap!
I
I
know.
have to relearn this. I have to
Yeah.
relearn
Well,
it.
that was
But
that's one point I was gonna say that you should try and keep up with it because yeah, do like some of it, a little bit, just a little bit, bro.
well,
Pull those
what I find
boxes
is that I
out.
started using a lot more like on my iPad. Like there's a lot of stuff that were like I was incorporating more apps rather than
Yeah.
on a tablet than using my computer for music, like for recording and things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I really do have to get back into it and do stuff. We'll see. Maybe when my 3-year-old started school already, so maybe when the little one starts school
There
and
you
it
go.
frees up
Yeah.
time. Not that I'm with them, but you know how life is with them and all that
No.
stuff. So maybe
Oh,
once
trust me,
they're
man. Trust me.
once they're full on doing that and kind of like they don't require as much. Um, I think I'll probably jump back on it, see what happens. Maybe when the shop expands, maybe I can set up a little corner there with some of my gear there and try to do something with it. Just trying to get my I thought my daughter would be into the whole music thing, but as she started growing up, she's into the arts, but a different sector of it.
Yeah, that's tough, man. My kids, I mean, my one kid does music. My daughter, she's super artsy and craftsy. She's super funny. She,
Yeah.
but yeah, I need to do music, me myself, at least 5 minutes a day or something. Even if it's singing in the car.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm always looking to discover like new music and all
Yeah,
that. I haven't been to like really any live shows, but I really like going to live music or anywhere where I'm at. If there's like a festival and they're playing live
yeah,
music, I like to absorb all that stuff. Like
yeah,
I'm not really picky about music, but I do like I really like this whole like new generation. Like it's like a lot of young artists
yeah.
a lot of like young people just coming up, and I think, and I mean, a lot of it has to be like the way that they market themselves on
Oh, for
social media
sure.
and everything.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like there's more competition now for music, but it's also easier to bring anything out.
Wow.
Like you don't actually have to go and record an LP or a
No,
CD or
no.
anything like that and release it. You
Yeah.
just everything could be online. You don't even have to release anything. You just
No, you don't. I mean, it becomes six of one, half a dozen of the other, though. It's exactly like you're saying. Now with the platform, like I was on TikTok the other day, and I don't go on TikTok a lot, but man, there's so many fucking talented people out there. It is
yeah,
unbelievable how there's so much talent, and some of the people that you see that are famous, you're like, what the fuck? So on one hand, you're like, man, like it's just an oversaturation of everyone doing it, but it's
yeah,
also now you can do that. Bon Jovi said it. He's like, you don't gotta fucking tour around for 3 years to promote one album anymore. You
yeah,
know, you can just like
yeah,
have one album, boom, there it is. It only takes one song, and that could be it for you.
yeah. No, I was noticing that, and I was like, man, like I could see my like the type of music I was doing, like a lot of instrumental, like
Yeah,
like lo-fi hip hop and all that stuff. Like, man, I'm like, man, that's like everything they're using right now in all these
absolutely.
Instagram videos. I'm
And
like, that would be
now,
perfect.
and now it's like and now people are also changing their mind frame and the way that they're thinking. Now people aren't always just wanting to get rich and famous. Now they realize, well, I can just write beats and sell beats, and I
Yeah,
can make money just writing, and no one ever has to know me. Like you can buy beat packages now, and like it's crazy.
yeah. Well, that's
It's
how it was before. Like before, like when I was into music production, I was connecting with artists so that I can sell them beats,
that's right. Yeah,
or we can collaborate and we can do that. And that was the main thing. It's like you need the artist because it was
yeah,
really rare. I mean, yeah, you had certain artists like Bonobo and certain artists that could get away with doing just instrumental stuff. Um, but you have to catch somebody's attention. But
yeah,
nowadays, now you can now I can see it blowing up,
for
with
sure.
that. But I'm glad I think just me taking this break right now that I've had, I know it's gonna be awesome when I get back on there. Cause like I have all this stored like stuff that needs to get out in music
Yeah,
that I know it's gonna be pretty badass,
yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. It's gonna
Yeah.
store up in there, and you're gonna have to do it. One day you're gonna release it. Next thing you know, you're gonna be famous.
Right? And then I can quit this stuff now.
Yo, take
Nah.
me with you, bro. Take me along with
Right,
you. I'll
man.
I'll be your roadie. I'll fucking pack your bags. I don't give a shit.
Nah. Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that, man, unless I'm too much of a family man
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
on the road. I've even got offered like even like jobs through like architects and that we've done work for. We're doing a job in Florida. Want you to do that same finish for the
yeah.
client. They have a house over there, and it's just like, nah, man. I don't know. It'd be
No, I
pretty
mean,
expensive for me to take me out there.
yeah. Well, I had someone in Ontario say the same thing. You should come up here. There's not. We're looking for some better painters, and it's just not worth it. For them, I'm like, yeah, sure, you're gonna pay for everything. Yes, yeah, tack like another 30, 40 grand onto the bill. Like, how the fuck can we just fly down there, drive all of our tools down there, set up down there, live,
Hmm.
eat, everything. So yeah, it would be a cool experience, but I just don't think it's not feasible, right?
I think if like single, no kids,
Yeah,
man, you can be traveling all over the
yeah,
place.
it'd
You
be
can be
cool.
on Instagram just connecting with all these
Oh,
different
it
painters.
would
And
be sweet, man. It would be so fucking cool. Like that would be one great thing that I always wished I could just go around, do seminars, maybe teach, maybe talk, maybe just travel. Who gives a fuck,
yeah,
you know? But my kids are getting older, so that still could be in the cards one day.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, no, for sure. That would be awesome.
it would
That would be awesome
be
if
cool
you
just
can
to
do that.
connect with everyone, right?
Yeah, eventually. I mean, I see like some of these guys already like even with Padilla and all that stuff. Like I think Padilla was just in Florida
Yeah,
and he connected with Duarte and a couple of other guys and it's awesome. It's awesome that if you can do that and you're going out there for kind of use that time to like connect with people, go to a conference and all that. It's pretty badass.
yeah, it's been pretty cool. I mean, fuck, it's been 7 years now. Like, yeah, yeah, it's been a cool go. It's been fun,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've, I've only connected with some local guys here, but most of the guys that I know locally from here, I don't know too many. too many. I mean, some of the bigger companies, but like I said, some of those are just like kind of business pages. They're not really interacting. They're just it's
Yeah,
just a page and that's it.
yeah, yeah. I've
But
met a
yeah,
few painters from Calgary, from Instagram, but yeah, I haven't met too many though.
you say
Oh, there's JJ right now. Yo, JJ, what's your name? Is it Ramsey? Don't tell me it's like fucking Ezekiel or some shit. I'm gonna fucking
Ezekiel.
shit.
I send it to everybody. I send it to the group thing where we're all connected. I sent it to them and I told them that it was gonna be on, but I don't know. I can't control. Certain people are blocked by certain people and they
Oh,
can't see it.
I didn't realize that until I was getting booted out of some of the lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I was like, oh right, that makes sense now. That makes sense now because people come in and yada yada yada. But before it used to be a totally different. Instagram used to have it where everyone else would get kicked out too.
mm,
Yeah, so they've changed it a little bit, but yeah, it's
yeah,
hard. It's hard to keep track, man.
yeah. I don't know. I don't get involved in that part. I don't get involved in that part. I haven't had to. I haven't really had to like really like block anybody or anything. Like I said, I don't really give a stuff
Yeah,
that happens. And it's just like whatever, unless someone gets really, I guess if someone gets really, really annoying or about something or whatever, but luckily I haven't had that issue.
yeah. Mostly if like if I don't like what you're posting or what you're doing, I just unfollow you. If
Yeah, exactly.
if I block you, it's mostly because either you know I have a reason to not like you, and or maybe I'm getting paranoid these days, but like I feel like intellectual property.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that
I mean,
there's
I
too
don't,
many people regurgitating stuff, and they're going out there and they're being the big dogs now, and you're kind of like, yo, man, what the fuck, like,
yeah. Yeah. If I don't agree with something, I unfollow.
yeah,
I mean, you have to really be messing up if I unfollow you because I haven't unfollowed Alpha and you know, so if I unfollowed somebody, they really had to do something bad,
yeah, yeah. Now
you
sometimes
know?
I'm just like, because the algorithm and the way it works, sometimes that stuff pops up in my feed. I'm just like sick of seeing it. So I just like, my wife's like, you can just like, I don't even know. She said that you can like request to like have it pumped out of the feed or some shit. And I was like, I just unfollow. It's just easier that way.
Yeah. Just like this guy Prestige, I was like seeing when I first started seeing this stuff,
Prestige.
I was like, what the fuck is going on
Carson.
here? Like, yeah, Carson, yeah. I was just like I was confused, and I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing. All right,
Oh
cool,
yeah.
you cool.
Yeah, no, no, he's actually a pretty smart guy. And
Yeah,
speaking music wise, he's actually a really talented musician and like songwriter and stuff too. I don't think people would really get that from just looking at him,
yeah,
But he's cool as shit. I've chatted with him a lot, and yeah, he's pretty cool. But
yeah,
it's becoming the platform's changing. It's just everything's oversaturated. Yeah, it's just dumb.
yeah.
The algorithm's really messed up.
I was I was like listening to I think I was watching like one of your lives from a while ago, and I was just like, you know how in the beginning you start talking, hey, what's going on this person, what's going on this person. I was like, man, I don't fucking know any of those
Mm.
people. And then I was kind of looking, I'm like, man, I wonder how like that, like our group, right? So like, I'm sure there's like a group that you conversate and talk to like on a daily basis. Um, I feel like that changes so quick now because there's so many people.
Actually, for me, it just keeps growing
Yeah,
because like I try to play pretty neutral and not even to fake playing neutral. It's just I just try
yeah,
and stay in the middle. I just don't.
yeah,
No, I'm here to help people. Like I'm not here to take sides. I don't. I'm not
yeah,
here to start shit. I don't want to fight with people. I don't want any of that. But
yeah,
so it's constantly growing. There are people I talk to more often than not, but there's people I used to talk to a ton that I don't talk to as much anymore. I think mostly
right,
because people just they get busy, they have lives, but it really goes to show like when I was sick, or sometimes when I'm not posting for a while, people I haven't chatted to in a long time. They're like, hey man, just reaching out to see like what's up. I haven't been seeing your posts, blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
even though you know you're not talking to them on a regular, they are still watching. So it's been cool. It's been a cool journey. And it's just it's just getting crazy now. That's all.
Yeah, no, it is, it is, it is. That's why I try to like, even with the kids, like, well, my daughter, well, my son doesn't. The only one is my daughter that's on social media, and I try to always kind of like, hey, what you see out there is not really true. A lot of these
No.
people, there's a lot more fake people than real
Oh yeah.
people. Um, and just don't let it get to you. And I explained to her because for a while they were like, her and my son wanted like to create like a YouTube video, and I
Yeah.
said, hey, we create this kind of like a blog type of thing or vlog. I was like, we create this. You have to understand and you have to accept that people are going to say certain things and you have to not take it to heart and just kind of like, whatever. Because there's always going to be people, no matter what you're doing. There's always going to be somebody saying something or something happening. So, um, yeah, luckily they understand and that's not an issue. But I try to always tell them. I
Yeah.
kind of,
Well,
I think,
yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
It's tough because the day and age that we're in right now. So when my kids were growing up, we were kind of in. We were there for the Apple iPhone to come out. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
we're not raising kids with iPhones, so the generation right there changed. As soon as iPhone was full fledged, kind of things changed a lot. You know what I mean? So when we were
yeah,
raising our kids, it was a little different. But we started to realize that if we didn't let them sort of be involved and be there, then then they were the weird kids. That's what was fucked up though, Johnny. Like for like, oh, you don't have an iPad that you can take to your room with you until
yeah.
4 o'clock in the
Man,
morning. Like
that's how
fucking
it was with us too.
you're
That's how it
weird,
was with
right?
us.
So I just said to my kids like, don't worry about that. But then eventually it's like, hey, like I'd like an iPhone. It's like we don't need an iPhone. And if I would have been like my dad, they probably wouldn't have got the iPhones. But then it's hard because they're trying to like live their little lives in a world that's like all it's like everything now.
Yeah,
It's everything now. So it's like, do you want them to be left behind or do you want to teach them to use it properly? So, I think having a YouTube channel and putting videos is like really good for kids and
yeah.
trying to like at least jump out of their comfort zone, but it can be super dangerous. The internet is so fucking dangerous.
Oh
It is
yeah,
so dangerous, you know.
yeah. It hasn't happened. Like we didn't like they wanted to do it and we talked about it and it just never happened. We just never executed the plan. I said we're not gonna just start a YouTube channel just to put a bunch of
Yeah.
random shit. Like
Yes.
there's a purpose. I said let's
Yeah.
figure out what purpose is.
Absolutely.
What are you trying to do here? What are you trying to show? Why do you have the channel? What is it based off of? And I said until you guys come up with that and you guys have a purpose, then we'll think about it. I
Yeah.
said, but they must have not figured it out because we haven't created it.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the hard thing. AMG's one painting is just saying like, what age would you allow that? Well, I think it's tough because I think it's like what Johnny's saying that if they have a purpose, then I think if you control it and with the the guided controls through YouTube, you can kind of control who's seeing it because there's always that like, do you really want to have your kids on the internet for people to see? But
yeah,
at one point in time, the highest paid YouTuber was an 8-year-old kid, right? He was doing the toy unboxing, and this fucking kid was like killing it on YouTube. So,
yeah,
but I think it's like you saying, having the point, because I said to my daughter, because she likes to cook, so I said, like, why don't you mix your your um your hobbies together? You like being on your phone, you like maybe doing some editing, you like cooking, you like this, like why don't you just film yourself,
yeah,
cook, do recipes, blah blah blah. But it's like you say, they're just still kids, right? So
yeah.
but I guess your kids are your kids are like teenagers though.
Yeah, yeah. This
Yeah.
was a couple. This was like a couple years ago that
Oh,
they were
okay.
talking about it, and but yeah, now my daughter has no time. My daughter has like she starts school like at we drop her off at 7:45, and she don't get out till on a regular day she doesn't get out till 5.
Yeah.
So for 7:45, she's at school longer than I am at work,
Wow.
and that's I mean, hey, she wanted to go to an art school. That's what
Yep.
you get.
Yeah,
you know.
that
And
is what you get. Yeah.
I mean, this past week they have I think they have a show, so she's there till like 8 or 9 o'clock
Oh
for
wow,
like rehearsals and all that stuff. So
crazy.
I said that's
That's
if
the way
if
it
you
is,
can do it,
man.
that's dedicated.
Yeah, you got to be dedicated. You know, nothing in life comes easy. Nothing good, at least. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
no, if it was like they say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
100%, bro. One hundred
Yeah.
percent. My phone
Especially
keeps giving me flashes telling me that my battery's going to die. I got about over 10%, but there's always a string of questions at the end of every interview that I like to like blast out. So I'd like to ask you
let's
these
see.
questions before my phone dies because I
Yeah.
really appreciated you jumping on with me tonight. And I've always appreciated, I think I've said this many times, but I always appreciate every single person I meet on here and I become friends with. And you and I have become friends and talked for a long time. So I really wanted to have you on. So thank you very much for doing this, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man. I'm honored to be on, man.
And
Thanks for having me.
we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I'm sure that we could find like a million other things to talk about.
Right, right.
It's really hard to curate like good conversation sometimes because you just go with the flow and like things let things happen. But yeah, 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
No,
well
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm gonna shoot you out some of these questions. Okay,
Let's see.
what's your favorite tool that you like to use?
My favorite tool that I like to use.
Yeah, so like I mean, it can be anything.
It could be anything. Um,
It doesn't even have to be every day.
no, it's my favorite tool that I keep on me all the time. It's just my utility knife,
Yeah,
my alpha knife. That like it's in my pocket at all times, and I make sure like that doesn't ever leave. You know.
the Dolphin knife, eh?
Yeah, because of all the masking, I gotta make sure I have that thing. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go.
Nice. Nice. Do you
Yeah,
keep it
at all
on
times.
you all the time?
Yeah, man. I live in Chicago, man. We need a little backup, you know.
Is it pretty rough? Is it actually pretty rough in Chicago or what?
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Oh
If
shit.
you I mean, if you have you just stay in your place and do what you got to do. And I mean, if you're out there at these, I mean, if you're out there at some crazy hours, you're gonna find yourself in some stuff. But you know, I
Wow.
try to stay away, try to stay in, try to be where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah,
and that's it. But whatever happens after that, I can't control.
it's like
You
anything.
know.
Yeah, it's like anything.
But yeah,
Oh, frick, man. Sorry. If you were not painting, what would you be doing?
I would be in music, so I would be a music producer
That's what you
or
do,
engineer
eh?
or sound
Oh,
engineer. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. Yeah,
yeah, sound
that'd be pretty
engineer.
sweet. Painter whites, yay or nay? This one's for Alpha. Painter whites, yay or nay?
You gotta go with the blue jeans. No, no.
Or the sweatpants?
Little
The
sweatpants. No,
sweatpants.
painter whites. Painter whites. Yeah, painter whites is the way to go. It's hard to get everybody else on board. Um, but yeah, painter whites and be clean. Be clean. Clean outfit, clean uniform.
So does that have to be painter whites, pants and shirt?
Uniform shirt automatically. That there's no other option. Like even if you're at the shop, it has to be. I'm flexible. If we're at the shop, you can
Yeah.
pants can be whatever. It doesn't matter if it's on the summer shorts or whatever. But on site, we have to look
Tip top.
like yep
Makes sense. Makes sense.
on site.
Oh, here's a good one. Do you believe the Earth is flat? Are we gonna get into like a whole nother Earth is flat conversation here?
No,
No.
no,
You're like fuck that shit, right?
no.
I've yet to find anyone that's been like, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
This ain't nothing.
That's why I ask it because I'm like, maybe someone's gonna be like, hey man, let me give you my theory, and I'm gonna be like, oh shit.
No, man.
Uh, what kind of? Well, I guess you don't do too much brushing and rolling. I was say, do you have like favorite brushes and rollers?
No, no, not anymore. I don't have it, and I don't really
Yeah,
need to use them
yeah,
too much. You know.
yeah.
Although I did the project we're working on right now is a tip finish on the majority of the
Oh,
cabinets.
nice.
So I am using that. I had to use. I have to go back to like a OG like Purdy stiff
Right.
brush
Yeah.
to be able to do it because all these nicer brushes that they're bringing out, they don't work for this
For the tipping
look.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't work. They don't just you do it and it just disappears
What are you
when you're
using for product for that?
Envirolec.
Oh, okay.
So I'm spraying HVOP and I'm
Right.
back brushing. So
Oh,
I'm kind
okay.
of letting this sit for like a couple minutes
Oh, okay.
letting it sit, and then just kind of just enough to like kind of start tacking up so that it can pull. If I do it like if I spray it and I tip it off, it disappears. It like
No shit.
it goes back to a sprayed finish.
Wow.
So it's kind of like you have to catch it in that in between
Yeah.
time, and then not let it dry too much or whatever. Not too early, not too late.
Yeah. Yeah. No, crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Well, I mean, I guess it would make sense, but I figure once it starts drying, then yeah, you can tip it off. But yeah, I guess you got to wait a certain amount of time so it just doesn't meld back together again.
And I learned that from Matt from Insta Sprayers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to him about it, and he told me that was pretty much like the key. It's just you gotta wait to kind of almost flashes a little bit
Yeah.
to be able to do it. I mean, you can still do it, but you gotta come back like right before it dries and make those brush strokes to kind of refine them a little bit. And you want to see them that they're there, but they don't. You don't want to like you don't want them obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that plaster sample that I've been doing, that we're going to be doing on this frame. It's the same thing. You got to apply it, let it set up for a few minutes, and then you start working it, and that's when it starts to change. It's fucking kind of
Yeah,
cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you a chicken or beef guy?
Neither or, man.
Well,
I'm a pescatarian.
oh, no shit. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about this one then? Tea or coffee?
Coffee,
Okay. Nice. Nice.
coffee. I do like tea. Tea is usually when I'm a little under the weather, I'll jump to that. Um, but for the most part, coffee,
Uh,
coffee,
uh,
man.
Padilla says, Danny, ask him about his goals and how he's going to make them happen. Is that an inside joke or what?
Uh, I think he wants to know. I don't know. That's what we were talking about earlier. My goals are to keep on
Oh,
growing,
okay.
and
Yeah.
yeah, my goals are to keep on growing and expand. Like at the end of the day, we gotta make more money, make more opportunities for other people. As far as how many people I'm thinking about getting and growing the company, I
Yeah.
don't know. Once I get to that point, the goal is 4 people total with myself, so 3 other people and myself. Um, and I'm gonna get there. Like how I told you earlier, I gotta work. I have some personal stuff I have to work on first, like learning to let go
Right.
and things like that. And making some systems that will work that I can pass on. But until then, I gotta work on that first before I can.
So
I
when
don't
you
want.
when you think about growth, do you also think about money wise, or is it mostly just like employees, or do you always try and hit like a certain mark? Like when you hear guys say like we want to hit this much, a year.
Yeah, I don't really think. I don't think about that stuff really. To tell you the truth, like
Yeah.
I don't have like numbers set. I'm always thinking about how I can kind of grow the business, like the size of the business, and what kind of opportunities I can give to somebody else. That's my initiative, and that's what I want to do. As far as numbers, I don't focus on that because if you were to ask me, well, how would you come up with that number? I wouldn't know because I'm
Right.
still learning. I'm
Yeah.
still learning. I'm at a point where a lot of my like the revenue and everything that's coming in is still being reinvested into the company. So a lot of that money is kind of like
Yep.
is a revolving door and things like that. So eventually I'll be at Padilla's level where I can have some of those big numbers. But
Yeah. The fuck you money.
all right, exactly right.
I wish I had some fuck you money. I don't have any fuck you money. Here's another question for you. If you could start another business tomorrow, what would it be? Not in music. I mean something that was like that. If you had to go and make money like tomorrow, what would you do?
Um, I think I would. I thought about this. Like I think that I thought about a business for to come on site and like do like prep like surface protection and like prepping out job sites like big job sites
Oh
for
yeah.
people
Oh
like
yeah.
for big companies. So I thought about like, oh, maybe like some of the bigger companies can focus on the work and we just have a crew that comes in and boom, let's lay down brown paper on everything, cover windows, cover this, cover that, boom, boom, everything that surface protection so that they can come in and concentrate on the work.
That's
So I
clever.
thought about that.
You could probably do that. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think so.
I thought, I mean, we do it every day. We do it every day, and that's the main
Yeah.
part that we spend. So I thought about I could see ourselves. I mean, think about how many painting companies just spend, the first, first 3, 4 days
Yeah,
of a big project just
100%.
covering floors and
Yeah,
doing that stuff,
yeah.
covering countertops. So that would be another business that I would get into. I don't know where that would fall under, but
Fuck. Well, I mean, I could see that being big in like demolition.
yeah,
People have to like demo certain areas, but they don't want
yep,
this to get fucked up or that to get fucked up. Like, yeah, you could do that.
yeah. That's kind of like that's kind of where I was thinking,
Yeah,
and something like that.
yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be a good business for sure. Is there a question you wish I would have asked you that I didn't ask, or is there anything you maybe wanted to ask me?
Uh, no, man, I think you asked all. I mean, we kind of kept it pretty much natural,
Free
didn't go
flowing.
off of anything, so free flowing, so it was good. The only question I can ask you is if you keep on going with these podcasts, like what is your purpose? Like, why do you feel that if you keep on doing, why do you feel that you want to keep on doing them? Like, what is the purpose of them?
Well, actually, truth be told, at the moment in my kind of Instagram travel time, career, whatever you want to call it, having, I've been losing motivation to post more.
Hmm.
I think that's why it's been harder for me to do the podcast. Right now, I think what keeps me going doing the podcast is that the data. So when I see, the amount of people that are listening, people that ask
Yeah,
for it, that's what keeps me going right now. I don't want to just end it and have it be this thing where it's like, well, if it's not making me money or if it's not, doing something for me, then it shouldn't be there. I really did start this more for the fellow painters. I was answering a lot of questions in my inbox at one point in time, and I just thought this would be a way to kill two birds with one stone. So that's why I did it, and it connects me with people, and it helps people. So that's why I continue to do it.
yeah,
I don't really see, like, I'm not really sure where it's going.
yeah,
I like it. I enjoy it. I think it helps people. Like, someone just messaged me the other day, and they were listening to one. I think it was with me in Henry Payne, Oklahoma, and just this person just saying like, it's you saved me today. I was working by myself. It's sweet to just have this and to have you and other painters shoot the shit and talk about stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what made me be like, okay, like, I want to still do that. I want to provide that, but I'm getting to a point now where it's taking up a lot of time, and I'm just not sure if I want to completely do that all for nothing anymore. I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, you got to keep on doing it, man. Maybe in a different way or a different platform, some different, but you got to keep the podcast going, man. I think
Yeah,
it's helped a lot of people. I Even when people that I've talked to that I tell them go check out episode 1 or
yeah,
go back and listen to it, and it's awesome. You can always pick up. I mean, I listen to them even like multiple times, and every time because you never my attention span is not that good with
yeah,
that, so I get distracted or something. But when I come back, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't catch that on the first one,
yeah, yeah.
and then you keep on learning, you know.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you even telling people and referring them to it. I really appreciate that, and I hope that more people will do that. That it can get around and just help people. I'm
Yeah,
gonna continue to do it. I'm just starting to put my eggs into a different basket at the moment, so things are
yeah,
slightly changing just in terms of like my content creation, what I want to post, what I want to put. So yeah, I mean, I'm right now, I guess, what in a nutshell, what I'm more thinking is like, if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna put a lot of energy into it, I want it to be like the best stuff now. Like, I'm kind of done just like posting for fun every now and then, or chasing this
right.
algorithm, or chasing the reels. Like, I'm not into that. I think that if I was, I probably would be sitting with a hell of a lot more followers than I do now. But I like my genuine amount of followers. I like what I have. I like what I've been doing, and who's come along with me, and I've
Right.
shared a lot with people. So we'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see. I'm gonna
Well,
keep doing it, but like, I'm just trying to do it when I can. Everyone's been super kind. I've never really had anyone that's like, "Yo, what the fuck, man?" So that's why I never went with a subscription basis like
yeah,
early on, because if I charge people money, then I have to be putting out the content, and sometimes I'm just so busy that I can't. Right?
Yeah, then it's kind of forced also sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't want to force it. And it was like doing these lives are great. It's really cool. Like we can shoot the shit, but sometimes I want to like really dive into a topic. So I like doing the monologue stuff, but the monologue stuff can be tough because you have this idea, then you hit record, and then you're just like staring in the room. You're like talking into your microphone by yourself, and that can be really hard to do. But
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
we'll see where it goes. We'll stick along and see where you take it.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
appreciate it. Anyone that sticks along, anyone that's still listening and still there. It's not that I don't want to be here and that I've backed off. I'm just trying to think about my content different now. Is all. That's
Yeah,
really it. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll come up with some clever. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do get
that's
one more
awesome.
question for you though, man.
Yeah,
This is the one that I always end it with, and it's if you could change a few things about yourself now for the future, what do you think it would be
I could change some things now for the future. Um,
about yourself?
I think I would not be so. I would try to back out and not be like not try to reach 100% every time
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm always trying to reach like 100 like perfection,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like one of those things where it's like yeah, someone's benefiting from it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not because at the end of the day when you're working on let's say even on a project, you're working on a project and you're trying to shoot for 100%. You're never gonna get there, but you're trying to. And then you just keep on doing it, and eventually it becomes a one of those things where you start losing money.
Yep.
So you have to accept that nothing's gonna be perfect, and that and you got to know when to stop. So I would change that. I would change like I'm like okay with not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that matters, man. Did you listen to the latest podcast I put out, The Perfect?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's it's true, man. And I think that's great advice too to anyone learning, trying not to get in your own way. It's good to try and be that and strive for that perfection and a high standard. But yeah, I lost a lot of money in the beginning doing it like that because we got into new home construction and
yeah,
high end. So when we were younger, we're all like, "Oh, we're fucking amazing," blah blah blah. And then as soon as that work runs out and you get onto the real world and you realize that you have to compete, shit can change real fucking fast.
yeah, yeah. And it's not even just with work. Like with anything, it can be like
Yeah,
with just
yeah, it's
sending out
true.
your proposals, like anything, like it's never gonna be perfect. Like you keep on revising it and doing it. It's just like just fucking get it out there and
Yeah,
that's it. And,
yeah,
and that's I struggle with that a lot. Like where I'm just like, well, is it good enough? Is it this? Is it that? Did I word it right? Did I do this? And then that becomes then you start it just starts accumulating, whether
yeah,
it's work or paperwork or whatever it is, it just starts accumulating because you're just trying to strive for like that perfection. Um, which is good. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people hire us
yep,
because we're like that.
one hundred
But
percent.
it sometimes becomes a burden on everything,
Yeah,
um, with everything, deadlines, financials, and things like that.
yeah,
So
yeah. It becomes that in-house conversation because you're always selling it like, "Trust me, ma'am or sir, this is going to be really good." And then sometimes the budgets or the timelines aren't there, so then it's like you regroup with everyone and like, "Okay, we said this is going to be really good. How are we going to make
yeah,
it really good? But we can't make it really good. Like we can, but we only have this much time. So like, where are we going to cut the corner? Like, where are we going to save? Like, yeah, I feel yeah."
yeah, yeah. That's a hard one. That's a hard one there.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough one, man. It's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, someone just said paperwork. For me. That's the side of the company or the business that always fails. My office and paperwork stuff. It's like fuck, man. I can't stay in the office, man. I just fucking hate it. Like I hate it
Yeah,
sometimes.
I try to do a lot of things on the fly. I don't have
Yeah,
a like my shop doesn't have like I don't have an office set up there
I
or
wish I
anything like that.
did. I wish I did with
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
yeah. I don't have anything set up there, so it's just like a lot of things are on the fly or when
Yeah,
I get home, which is what I want to try to avoid. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know if that'll happen, but trying to avoid that, like coming home and still having to do paperwork.
Oh, dude. So that's like I need to start creating deeper, harder boundaries for myself, especially after being sick. Like I need to do more, and I have been being like strict, like you being like, okay, like 5 o'clock, I'm going home.
Yeah,
Because the later I work, the less time I have to take care of anything when I get home. And then it's like when I have important shit that I actually have to do, I don't want to fucking do it at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah. Or dedicating a day or a certain time,
Yeah.
Friday nights or like Saturday mornings or something to like just doing that stuff. Yeah, it's a hard one because sometimes you want to have that time off or whatever, but I guess you just got to be disciplined and
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah. Well, fuck, discipline's tough. Like Mike Tyson says, man, discipline. It's like doing this shit fucking that you hate to do like you love it. Like who the fuck wants to
Yeah,
do that?
I know, right? I always tell my kids. I always tell well, yeah, both of my kids. I always tell them like, you know what the problem is? I'm like, you're not in love with it.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah.
baseball and all that stuff. I'm like, if you loved it, you wouldn't need me to tell you, hey, let's go outside and
100%.
practice. Like you
Yeah,
need to
man.
love it. Like
Yeah.
like I feel like we like some of the guys on here, like we're in love with what we're
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
like the trade, the process, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But I feel sometimes then, that kind of takes away with then you can't fall in love with that part of the business.
Yeah.
Because you're so caught up on you're so in love with the process and
Yeah.
how to do the work and
Yeah.
executing nice projects, but then you lack on the business side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard. It's funny because I interviewed one guy. Then he was like, "Man, you make me sick if you say that you love. I love painting. Like I know you love it, but there's got to be something you love more to do." He's like, "I love hunting and fishing." And I'm like, "No, I love painting." He's like,
Yeah.
"Come on,
All
man."
right.
I'm like, "No, seriously." That's what I've been telling some people, especially with that last podcast that I put out, because I had a lot of people reaching out that were like, "Man, it was so good. Like, you nailed it, blah blah blah." But a piece of me was also like worried. I didn't want to offend anyone. I didn't want to come off too harsh, too rash. I didn't want it to sound like a rant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think it's like when you're passionate about something, you wear your heart on your sleeve. It was really hard for me not to sort of go down that line. But that's what happens when you're passionate about something and you love it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
you love it. You gotta. I mean, I'm always doing research and trying to look for the next thing
yeah,
and always just research, and trying to educate myself. I just think that's just how my brain works. Like I'm just constantly like I have to do that. And sometimes that's actually like an issue because like I can't sit down to like watch a movie. Like let's say we say, hey, we're gonna have a family night and
yeah.
watch a movie.
Oh, I'm the
Like
same.
at home, like that's impossible. Like if you pause that movie because of something like the pizza delivery
You're
got here,
done.
like I'm up and I'm like I'm gone. Like the only way to get me is like maybe to actually go to the show, like to the
Yeah,
movie theater and watch
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and then I'll just fall asleep.
Yeah, I was just working
You
on
know?
another podcast about balance because someone asked me that, so I thought I'd do one on balance, and I'm sure you know that it's super tough, man. It's really
Yeah,
tough
man.
because you're married and you're dedicated to your company. It's helped you eat. It's helped you grow. It's helped raise your family, and once you do that for too many years, it just becomes 100% ingrained in you. And take it from me, it's a lot to try and go the other way.
What I have an issue with is like going like we had a couple family vacations where we were around other family members, and like at the time I was like in the middle of like starting my business and
Yeah,
a phone call would come in and I would be like, I gotta take this. But it wasn't like interrupting anything, like nothing special that was going on. We were just kind of like hanging out or whatever. And I'm like, I gotta take this call. And I would take it. And then what I have an issue with is like people that have an input on it, like, oh, he shouldn't be answering the phone, he's on vacation, like family members.
yeah. There's nothing to
Because
do.
then I'm like, well, you're not living this life,
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
one
you
hundred
don't you
percent.
don't know it. Like, do you have your own business?
Yeah,
Is this where you no, you show up to work and you work your hours and that's it. Like you have no say so. Like you're not living this.
no,
So it's like until you live it, like everybody thinks they can be a business owner and so they do it.
yeah,
And they live everything bad and
yeah.
then they're like, damn, it ain't that easy. Now I know what my boss was going through.
It's mostly why a lot of people don't do it because I think they truly actually know and they're like, yeah, fuck that, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that if you can't do that, I think you should just be like a great craftsman and work for somebody that's going to pay you
yeah,
top dollar.
yeah. Everybody has their place, so yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I don't think I could do it. I'm just too much of a go getter. Like
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't even think about being a boss or anything. Like I never think about like I run this, I made this. I honestly never think that way. I just always
Yeah.
think about go go go, and if someone's going to try and control me, then that means they're my boss. Then I don't want that. I would rather be partners with that person. Like, hey, let's do this together. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to being like, oh, you got to do this. I was done with that a long time ago.
yeah. I know. I think I'm the same way, and that came through through my father because he all the time he was like a big like no excuses, like get it done. You can cry about it right now, but get it done.
Yeah.
Like cry for a little bit and then forget about it and let's go.
Yeah,
And his whole
absolutely.
thing was all the time is like his whole thing was all the time was like his example that he came here with nothing just to clothes on his back,
Yeah.
across the river and started this, his own business and all this, and then he would give me examples of people that have been successful that had nothing, and I was like, fuck, I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. I gotta just do it.
Pretty much, man.
and,
I mean, it comes
and
from admiration and fear. That's where it comes from.
yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of that stuff kind of got ingrained in me in a good
Yeah.
way, and it's good because then I'm a very good I'm a professional problem solver.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the problem is, when you were raised off old school roots and mentalities, it's so different. They're all about work, and I get that, but getting older now and after putting in a hard 15, 16 years, now I'm starting to be work smarter. Even though I worked smarter
Yeah.
before, it's now you start to think a little different
Yeah.
because we wouldn't, man. We'd be like brats
Right.
on a wheel, right?
Yep.
So I try, but it's hard.
Yeah, no, that's how it is with us too. Like, I compared like numbers of when we would work like Saturdays, and I was just like, well,
Yeah,
we're not really, we're not really making any more money really because we could have finished Friday, especially in the areas where we're working at. They really don't want you there on the weekends anyways.
yeah, yeah,
And we just say, hey, let's go hard Monday through Friday, whatever we can,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that's it. Shop work is different. If we need to do something, or if I need to jump in there to spray something, for whatever reason, especially like when we're working with like oils or long drying stuff,
yeah.
then I'll jump in there on the Saturday, but try not to.
It's funny. The steady line just said, Danny, your phone is at 5%. He's so right. Actually, it's at 2%. Johnny, I'm going to let you go, man, so I can save this and post it before my
Yep,
phone dies.
yep, yep.
I
Thanks for
appreciate it,
having me,
man.
man.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. I'll have this baby posted up, and everyone can go and listen to it on all platforms. Thanks again, Johnny.
Sure, man.
Fuck, I'm going to fucking butcher it.
Correa.
Correa. It's probably because I
Correa,
got to
there you
roll
go.
my R's, isn't it? Yeah,
Correa,
Johnny
yeah,
Correa.
there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. So thanks a lot, Johnny. Check him out if you don't follow him up, and stay tuned for more, guys. I'm going to try and do this a bit more, but like I said, it's tough. It's tough. So I appreciate you, Johnny. Always a
Yep,
pleasure. It was a great chat. Good night, and thanks again.
yep. See you later, man.
Later,
Thanks.
dude. Welcome. Thank you. All right, there you go, Johnny Correa with Correa Custom Finishes. I'm gonna have to get that. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in and staying. Much love, and thanks for always tuning into a real episode of a live episode of Real Paint Talks at PSC. Peace, y'all. Much love.